Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to round number 3 of the End of Losers bracket here on the Upsurge Esports channel. We've got quite a matchup here today with Orgless going up against 100 Thieves. But before we get into that, I'm David Seymour Rabinovich, and alongside me is Audio. I don't know your full name, unfortunately. I can't believe I didn't ask. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Well, that's okay. It's our first time casting together, and it's a pleasure to be on the desk with you. I am Trevor Audio Goodrich, and what a match to have today. We have the reigning champions going up against what a lot of people expect to be possibly the tournament favorites. I know there's still a couple of different teams floating around for that spot, but 100 Thieves is a real contender.
Yeah, and they've been doing quite well throughout the actual, group stage of the tournament. Whereas Orgless seems to kind of have a little bit of up and down, especially now going into this losers bracket. They've changed a couple of players, haven't they?
Yeah, Orgless is such a weird team to watch because they came in and they had a rough but actually kind of close 3-game series against First Blood Crusade, who were waiting in that finals position. But then you have all of these roster swaps, and it kind of made sense when you moved out the top lane because their jungler didn't do too well in that series. But you also see King Vex and Lutano coming into the bot side. So we're really going to have to keep an eye on this roster because it's changed so much. It's hard to accurately judge how strong they really can be.
But what we do know is quite strong is the 100 Thieves next roster. Although they have obviously fallen to the lower bracket of the playoffs, they've still had outstanding performances. Their 2-0 victory over Full Spectrum in round 2. Outstanding performance from Tenacity and Kevy picking up the slack in game 1. Absolute decimation. But then in game 2, it was Copy as well as the bot lane that really shined. So really all facets of the team are able to, at the drop of a dime, play absolutely phenomenally.
Yeah, and you're talking about dropping down to that loser bracket. Remember, they only dropped because they forfeited their first match.
Yeah.
Copy wasn't available, and so it feels like this team is still going on their first run, and they still seem so hard to actually take down. This is going to be a really great benchmark for Orgless to realize, okay, we have this new roster. We've put our faith into these new players that we've brought in. Is it going to be enough? Can we beat a team like 100 Thieves? Can we go to the finals and have a chance against First Blood?
Yeah, and they still have a long way to go. Just because whoever wins this matchup here today, Orgless or 100 Thieves, there's still a long way to go all the way to grand finals. They've got a couple more members that they have to knock out of the way in order to get to where they want to go. But Orgless, previous champion, I believe, like you said, and 100 Thieves looking to be the new champion in this winter season of Upsurge.
Yeah, and if you're looking at 100 Thieves, look no further than Copy and Otto. These are two big names on this team, two big carries, and have been very influential in many of their wins. So I would definitely look at them trying to prioritize a strong bottom lane and then maybe get some counter picks if they can for top and mid. They will be on blue side for game 1. So looking at those power picks of the Aphelios, the Ornn, stuff like that, maybe not getting the counters this game around, but definitely throughout the series.
Yeah, we'll have to see how that draft goes. And one of the pivotal picks that I like 100 Thieves playing around is the set. They're actually able to flex it into 3 different positions. And in a previous lobby, they joked about flexing it in 5 different positions. Obviously, I don't think that's true, but we'll have to see how it kind of turns out. The Rengar being banned away first. Let's head into picks and bans.
Absolutely. We're going to have to get here. My apologies. I did not have the pro draft up and ready. Professional commentator, I'm telling you. But yeah, we're right into it. Rengar, Yuumi, Graves, Bando. You gotta feel like those are some targeted bans. Whereas Orgless, they're going for the standard. Take away those first pick blue side power picks. The Senna, the Ornn, Aphelios is still an option. There's a couple of other ones.
Yeah, Graves, something that Kenvi is quite comfortable with. I think the Rengar being the most targeted out of all. And now Lee Sin taken away from Kenvi. He's still got a lot of opportunity. And like I said earlier on, I love it when the caster predictions come through. First pick set really could go anywhere. But without the Senna, you have to think it's going top.
Yeah, I'm really surprised that Orgless let this one through. Yes, Kenvi is known for his Lee Sin, but this is set, man. I mean, come on. There are no good matchups into this champion. Orgless will grab themselves an early mid laner, though, wanting to get Young onto a very comfortable champion that's going to have a lot of agency throughout the game.
Yeah, and Syndra, that's actually a champion that Copy has quite a bit of power on, and taking that away is a good strategy, but he still has a pool that is deep and available. But the Varus second pick for Orgless, we'll have to see if they're going to be able to snag the Tom Kench that is usually partnered with it, but 100 Thieves can look to take it away with the Kalista here, but I'm thinking it obviously will be a Thresh for Poon.
Yeah, Kalista, Tom Kench, not the greatest duo. It can work. There is a lot of safety with the Tom Kench and the Kalista having her ultimates. They are going to lock in the Zoe there for Copy. This is one of his stable picks. This will probably allow the Tom Kench to go through, but I think they're going to be fine with that. As big as the catfish is, you get enough spears in that thing and it's going down.
Yeah, now the last pick going to be coming through for Orgless. We'll have to see what it's going to be. Can they take anything else away from 100 Thieves? You have to think that that may be the name of the game. The Tom Kench, like we said, usually probably the best pick with Varus considering how immobile he is. But now we head into the second phase of bans.
Yeah, it is surprising that the Tom Kench got let through even though 100 Thieves picked Zoe. You got to think that that is going to be the automatic pairing with the Varus. And Tom Kench just makes it so hard to play Zoe because anytime somebody gets hit by that Sleepy Bubble Trouble, unless it is the fish, they're just going to get gobbled up and they're going to run away with the support. So we'll see if Lutano is able to use that pick effectively. It can be very strong. But now into these second rounds of bans, notably still a support missing for 100 Thieves. So they're going to start banning away the big Kalista partners.
Yeah, and 100 Thieves really trying to help City Witty get comfortable in this jungle role for Orgless. The Rengar ban, the Graves ban, the Kindred ban. I'm expecting potentially another jungle ban. I think Tenacity is comfortable in the top lane to go up against whoever ends up in his face. So I think targeting the jungle ban is quite good considering City Witty may not have the most synergy with this Orgless squad. And we see 4 jungler bans from 100 Thieves. How will Orgless answer back with their jungle pick as the pool has been pinched?
Well, they have to be so careful, right? Because this is what KenV does. He gets one of these aggressive junglers, and he just makes your life miserable for the first 10, 15 minutes of the game. 100 Thieves forced a forfeit in one of their matches in the playoff because KenV on Graves was just doing absolutely, phenomenal. So you have to be so cognizant of what you are picking blind to this champion because 100 Thieves have shown that they will give their jungler the counter pick, and he will make plays.
Yeah, and considering it's Syndra first pick, they had the comfort to pick their mid laner whenever they felt like they wanted to. And obviously in the second rotation, like you're building up that story, that consistent rivalry between the jungle, and how is that going to pan out? And with Kha'Zix being locked in, can't really see that guy anywhere else other than the jungle. And we're going to see Elise come out with the Gangplank top with the set bot lane. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I actually am surprised I didn't think of this earlier. Set is such a powerful support with Kalista because she allows him to make up for his one huge weakness, and that's the lack of mobility and lack of actual engage. You don't have to worry about the Set not reaching the backline if you can just chuck them back there. So I think this is a really smart pairing for them. They've picked a safe top side, and they have tons of gank assists with mid and bot. So expect KenV to once again get aggressive and probably look to just put up a camp in either top mid or bottom.
Yeah, and KenV usually likes to play through that top side. Tenacity has been proven to be quite a phenomenal player. And may we kind of note that in the last bracket play, 100 Thieves versus Full Spectrum, it was the GP in the game 1 that was an absolute standout performance for Tenacity and KenV along his side. And still that GP in game 2, he may not have been the sole carry. It was Copy in the bot lane that really shined in game number 2 against Full Spectrum. It's this GP that Tenacity is so comfortable with, and it's going up against Into the Lucian. How does that fare up for Tenacity?
Yeah, obviously going to be a losing lane for the Gangplank, but this is what Tenacity wants, right? He lives up to his name very well in that he is a very resilient player. You can put him on something like the Gangplank or another scaling pick, and even into bad matchups, he's able to not only weather the storm, but occasionally come out ahead. Now, Lucian in the top lane is a very scary champion, and with the safe mid and bottom, I expect City Witty to put a lot of resources into Lawrence to try to push the Gangplank down. Will Tenacity actually be able to survive all that pressure? That is going to be the big question for this team, because if he can, he will buy Kenby and the rest of the team so much room to work around the map. But if he doesn't, this could be the area where, Orgless finally finds a way to shut down 100 Thieves.
Now we'll have to see if they're going to be able to push through, the monster that is 100 Thieves. Orgless, while they are the previous champions, 100 there's no doubt that 100 Thieves has come in absolutely hyped to the nines into this tournament, and they performed. Their group stage was phenomenal, but Orgless also had a really good group stage. And now both of these teams meeting head to head in the lower bracket. Which one will come out on top? We'll have to find out in game number 1. Talk to me a little bit about both of these teams' win conditions in this early game. What are they looking to accomplish? And let's start with 100 Thieves.
Yeah, for 100 Thieves, definitely keep your eyes on Kenvi on the Elise. This is such an aggressive pick that even into the Kazakhs is going to have a good time. Elise has tons of skirmishing tools, so I expect Kenvi to just get as aggressive into the enemy jungle as he can, as early on as he can. As long as you can set up some defensive vision so you don't get collapsed on, Elise should be able to be a terror. Then, moving into the mid game, they're looking to make some of these global plays where Elise and Zoe are going to roam around as a unit, and Tenacity is just going to use his ultimate to try to assist on the plays. And then late game, you're falling back, relying on the scaling and the gangplank. You're relying on the poke from the Zoe, and hopefully the front line and the engage from the set. Both teams are notably pretty lacking in the tank department, so this is going to be a game full of one-shots.
Yeah, and you can definitely expect to see that from 100 Thieves. They're hoping to do the damage first and hopefully not need to survive the damage that's going to come out from Orgless. And that's really a good identifier. Having Tahm Kench as your only existent front line for your team can be very difficult. But why don't you talk to me a little bit about what Orgless can do and what are their win conditions and what lanes they might have to play through in order to get this first win over 100 Thieves?
It's top die or boom, honestly. I mean, I'm looking at their composition, and they do not have like really any engage. When you're looking at a Varus arrow, maybe a Scatter the Weak, Lutano ulting somebody in there, they are severely lacking in just team fight engage. So their plan is just going to be have City Witty go to the store, pick up the most expensive tents you can find, and put it right in Lawrence's lane, because if that Lucian does not get ahead and you allow not only the Gangplank to scale, but for the Elise to have freedom around the map, it becomes so difficult for you to play team fights going into the mid and late game with all the globals, all of the range, and all of the burst on 100.
Now, we talked a little bit earlier about the roster rearrange that came out from Orgless. They've had a couple of different members flip-flopped around that have come in and out throughout the season. Do you think that this is going to affect them a lot in this upcoming match, or do you think that they'll still find a way to shine through these new members on the roster?
Yeah, it's something that we have to really watch the first game at least to actually get a feel of how this team is going to be, because they made these kind of unprecedented roster swaps in the middle of playoffs. I mean, that has either got to be complete desperation or complete confidence in your players and in your squad to say, hey, we are right here at the end. Every game matters. And you're just picking pieces out of your starting lineup. These players that have been playing together all season. So I'm excited to see which it is going to be. Was it a desperation play and Orgless is going to kind of fall apart here when they're put up against some serious competition? Or did they just see something in these players and they said, hey, we got to get these guys in right now, because going up against 100 Thieves, we need the best that we have got.
Well, we'll have to see as our summoners load up onto the Rift. But before we head into the spectator delay, we want to show you what we've been working on in the Upsurge workshop. Starting off with the Upsurge summer season that some of you may have been waiting for Dota 2. And one more drum roll, if you could load it up in there, if your fingers aren't tired. We got Rocket League as well coming through with 16 teams in 2v2s and 3v3s. You can find out more information 2020 Summer RL. Now, for those of you that are interested, obviously go to those links, but we're going to head into a quick spectator delay. Don't you go anywhere as our teams are ready to go. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Hopefully you got yourself a quick snack and maybe a cool beverage, as both of our teams are now ready to get some action in. Why don't we introduce them? We got Tenacity in the top lane for 100 Thieves, Kenvi in the jungle, Copy in the mid lane, and we've got Otto and Poom in the bot lane.
And on the red side, it is Orgless Lawrence in the top side, City Witty 123 in the jungle, Young playing mid lane, and Vex and Lutano pioneering the bot lane duo. 5-stack for both these squads. We're not going to get those level 1 shenanigans in game 1.
Yeah, and it's something that, you kind of expect, considering both of these teams don't really have the best invade potential coming from, the CC that they might be able to provide at level 1. Yeah, they got a little bit of a Zoe, but she's already started not the Sleepy Bubble Trouble, which is going to allow for, not having that paddle star. It means that they're obviously not going to invade.
Yeah, interesting that the Zoe decided to start with the corrupting potions plus the commencing stopwatch. It is going to be a much safer lane for the Zoe than if you had gone straight for the Doran's Ring and some more, AP heavy runes. We'll see how that works out. I would have expected her to just go for the normal start, but both junglers starting on this bot side, going to be uncontested. Is a ward in the river for Orgless, but it looks like Kenvi's just going to head straight to that top side. Probably try to protect his Gangplank from any early ganks from the Kazakhs.
Yeah, well, to be fair, Gangplank's not really pushing, which is going to allow for this early gank potentially coming out from Kenvi. And that's pretty understandable. It's a melee matchup into a ranged matchup. It's not like you're going to be pushing anyways, but that's going to allow for Kenvi to make it quite early up into that top side.
Auto doing some work onto Vex's health bar there. The Halo Blade's so powerful. You just get those 3 quick autos plus the Q. You can see he's already down to half health. Still has that 1 potion in inventory, but Pume just walking up has the Airy, is running the multiple runes there. And you can see they've effectively just zoned Vex and Lutano away from this wave. The level 1 power of the Callista is so strong.
Oh my god, the flash face breaker, but the flash comes out from Vex and the heal and the exhaust. They really just wanted to get out of there.
That was actually so close. Vex leveled up from killing that minion, which very well could have saved his life. If he hadn't leveled up, I'm sure Otto would have flashed in to try to get the kill. Holy cow, is that Callista strong right now. And you can see the early power. Here comes the dive on a Tenacity.
Yeah, and you can see here, 100 Thieves now in a little bit of trouble. Tenacity, 50% low on HP. Lucian tanks the damage, and First Blood goes over to City Witty. And you talked about this in the pregame. Shut down the top laner, and you really start to open up the map.
Exactly what you wanted to do. You saw Lawrence was able to get a big chunk onto the gangplank early on. As soon as that happens, you say, hey, jungle, I'm building up a huge wave. Come gank me in 30, 45 seconds. They even bring up Young to help out just to make sure that the dive goes correctly. They're able to get the first blood. Does go on to the Kazakhs. You would have liked that to go on to one of your carries, but they're going to be feeling in a very great position as Lawrence teleports right back to that lane to make sure that Tenacity can't get any of that farm uncontested.
Yeah, but it's still 14 to 18 CS. It doesn't mean that it's really that bad. And you can see Tenacity's just trying to hug the minions in order to delay them a little bit. You can get like maybe a microsecond of delay if you just walk in front of the minions and try to move them out of your way. Doesn't mean it's going to work all the time. Lane management is still lane management, but at least he's trying his best to get as much CS as possible, and that's really all he can do.
Yeah, and he's doing a fairly good job. Didn't miss too much of that wave because he teleported back. The real danger comes if he is killed before that teleport respawns. That's where you're going to see the big CS lead start to come in for Lawrence. Right now, doing a good job to hold his own. Kenvi spent a lot of time around that bottom lane, but wasn't able to pull anything off, even with a summonerless ADC. So you can see both junglers pretty even on farm. And so far, this early game is looking very good for Orgless. They really haven't been impacted by Kenvi's Elise in any way, and they've got their Lucian off to a very good start.
Oh, he's going to pursue his way through, and Kenvi's just clearing that control ward. A little bit of a fight breaks out in the bot lane. Facebreaker going to go onto Latano, but he's just going to tank that damage. And Kazakhs off to the side in the river, soloing that dragon as his bot lane has wave priority. And he's got a little bit of wave priority in that mid lane. But now the re-engage from Auto, he's just trying to get some minions. But now Kenvi rotating to that bot side, maybe trying to create some action.
It's actually interesting. City Witty going for the early dragon, but he is so low, he gets spotted out.
Yeah, and that's going to be the dragon. It is secured. It's the Infernal one, but the fight breaks out. Boom. Face breaking onto Latano. The Haymaker to follow up, and Auto with the return kill. Now King Vex trying to make his way out. Flashless and healthless with the heal, but the kill comes through, and now 100 Thieves on the board.
Yeah, as soon as City Witty gets spotted out on that Drake, they know they have to get out of there. Summonerless ADC, and the flash on the Tom Kench, but that's a slow-moving catfish, and Otto brought his extra long fishing pole today. They're able to find a solo kill onto the Callista.
Yeah, one thing...
No, go ahead.
One thing I wanted to mention in terms of itemization, maybe you can touch on it. The first buy cull from Callista, what do you think?
Yeah, it is an interesting one. You would think that you would want to push your tempo in this lane, try to get some more, early AD, or there's a tier 2 boots. Okay, so now it makes more sense if he's able to get tier 2 boots, plus a longsword this early. But with his passive as Vex and Lutano have been playing, it's not out of the question for Callista to be like, okay, they're never going to step up to allow me to kill them. I'm just going to buy a call and try to outfarm them instead.
And so far, not really too far ahead of King Vex, but This mid lane matchup is something that we have yet to kind of touch on a little bit. Like you said early on, safe for Zoe. And that CS lead starting to balloon up just a little bit, but Young going to be there in the mid lane to catch this wave. And he's going to catch quite close back up once he clears it.
Yeah, only about 8 CS down, a little over a wave, and that's pretty much just from the early roam up to the top side is where you're seeing that CS discrepancy. Otherwise, both these mid laners have just kind of done the gentleman's handshake and say we're going to farm it out until at least level 6, which we are past now. So hopefully we'll see them a little bit more active, roaming around with their junglers and try to influence the rest of the map now that they have those very important ultimates online.
Yeah, Tenacity now starting to feel himself a little bit, not being too afraid to step up, but he obviously does have the sleepy bubble trouble coming in hot from the side, and now they're looking to pop Lawrence. A couple of damage comes through, but the double gat comes out, and Lawrence takes him down with the return kill, and now here comes City Witty. He's looking for more copy, in a little bit of trouble as they look to pile on the damage, but Flash is away, able to stay alive. But now, Kennedy waiting in the wings. Sleepy bubble doesn't connect. And fighting for that control ward, a little bit of damage comes through, and Kennedy able to knock him down a peg. Oh, wait, but the fun's not over yet. The showstopper in the mid lane forcing Young to flash away. He's going to make it out, but the fighting never stops.
A little bit of damage feels like a little bit of an understatement as City Witty just pulled a magic trick and disappeared there in that brush. I'm honestly surprised by 100 Thieves. That was a very good play onto Tenacity. Copy was able to land such a great Sleepy Bubble Trouble from over that wall. But Tenacity not opting to, commit the ultimate to that play. If he had, he most certainly would have gotten the kill, but was very confident in the damage that he had. Wrongfully so, it's Lawrence who is able to turn that kill back around. It's very bad for the top laner. You see they've come out with a swap now. They aren't comfortable with Tenacity remaining in that lane alone against Lucian.
Yeah, and they also have taken the Rift Herald in that time after that little bit of scuffle in the top side. But now with that CS wave managed in the bot lane, GP going to make his way back up to that top side to try to catch it. TP going to be available relatively soon, but not in time for him to catch this top wave that will eventually connect with that top turret. Can be now, where can he place this rift? And right now the only answer seems to be like potentially this bot lane, considering 2 plates have been knocked down so far.
Yeah, that's the plate you want. That's the lane you want to go for. You have tons of gank assist with the Ballista plus set engage combo. The other option would be try to take it top. Lawrence doesn't have flash, and if you can pull off a kill and get a couple plates on top of that, that is a very good way to turn Tenacity's game around.
Ooh, Copy having that heal in the nick of time, and that's going to be the GP ult that connects. Oh my goodness. But that's going to be City Witty that makes it out alive in that Rift Herald. Now no one able to answer as Copy survives the mid lane gank. And now with the Dragon just around the corner, they look to secure it as they clear some vision.
Such low health bars on City Witty there after that mid lane gank. Very crucial that he flashed before the Sleepy Bubble Trouble actually put him to sleep. Otherwise, he would have been in range of the turret. Definitely would have gone down. But he's able to live just blowing his flash. However, that means complete bot control for the side of 100 Thieves. They know the jungler is pretty much out of the fight, has to go back to base. So they're able to use Rift Herald and get the full first turret pre-14 minutes. So all those plates, plus the Mountain Dragon, huge spike of gold into 100 Thieves' pockets.
Yeah, now with the Ocean Soul being revealed, that is definitely one of the top tier dragons that are available for either team really at this point to take hold of. Both teams have a dragon to their name, which means that we will not have a really early soul, but nevertheless Ocean Soul, it's up there with Infernal, probably the top 2 souls, and it really benefits either team. No matter what the scenario, no matter what the situation, it's going to be really good if either team is able to manage to grab that soul.
Yeah, Ocean Soul is by far my favorite. I think it is the most powerful. You kind of force your opponents to either invest in Grievous Wounds, which is more gold taken out of their pockets, or just accept that it is going to be very difficult to ever win a team fight against an Ocean Soul and all that healing. It also means more honey fruit around the map, which I love. But yeah, I definitely would favorite on 100 Thieves composition. You have the poke from Zoe and Gangplank, and you can kind of just sit back and play a generally passive style, and your enemies will, unless they have it hard to gauge, which we have already noted that Orgless are kind of lacking on the engage department, they're never really going to find a way to poke 100 Thieves out of these fights. However, it still is a powerful win condition for them if they're able to get it, so I expect those dragons to be really big points of conflict across it.
And kind of what's funny to see here is that Tahm Kench is in the top side matching the bot lane, but it's not really the real bot lane as it's Lucian and Tahm Kench with Varus in that bot lane soloing up against the GP. But here comes the dive. Facebreaker not actually going to connect, but the Haymaker going to keep him alive. And the Fates call, oh my goodness, with the clean dive. But Poom still falls, and they still get two in the top side.
Ooh, stun on a copy.
He's still able to survive with that Hourglass, but one last final Dark Sphere. He gets taken out. First kill on the board for Young. 4-4, 13 minutes in, but still 100 Thieves with a considerable gold lead.
Copy's flash came up less than a second after he came out of that stopwatch. That was very close to him living. Deep gank by City Witty going in between two turrets to make sure that Vex can get these solo plates. Teleport on the top side.
Oh, that's going to be Lucian. He's making his way up to that top side. Lawrence hoping to get a kill here. Kenvi in so much trouble, not able to escape. But here comes the Abyssal Voyage. He's making his way out to the other side of Otto, but the rest of the team not able to come in time. Copy rotating over, but here comes Lawrence. The exhaust comes through. That's going to be Kallista's Bane, and the shutdown putting Lawrence at 4-1-1. That is a scary Lucian.
It absolutely is. And Vex, okay, making sure he wasn't going to go down to the tower there. But this is a lot of greed coming through from 100 Thieves. They might get to take a turret back for themselves, but I mean, you saw it all started up there with that top lane dive. They were able to get the 2-for-1 trade. Unfortunately, Elise not landing the cocoon meant that she didn't take aggro and couldn't drop it, and that meant Poom actually went down. But after the initial dive and taking the turret, they stuck around. They wanted more farm. They wanted to steal away jungle camps. And that not only opened them up for Orgless to collapse and get 2 kills back onto Lawrence, but because they were showing on the top side, that's what allowed King Vex to just spend so much time in the bottom lane and get an entire turret's worth of plate gold to himself. So I think 100 Thieves, after that initial dive, really needed to reset. And because they didn't, Orgless has found a way to even up the gold in the mid game.
Yeah, and they're looking potentially to try to hold on to this Rift Herald. A lot of damage coming in from Elise as well as Zoe. But with Rift Herald up, the Dragon is yet to spawn in about 50 or so seconds, but Copy's still poking through this river, and Poom in a little bit of trouble, finds himself right between Lucian, but that's going to be the double gat that comes out, and he's able to survive the damage. Here comes the Sleepy Bubble Trouble onto Young, but that's going to be almost blocked away from Lawrence as he makes his way right over that wall, and they just have to back off. But still, the Rift Herald going over to the side of Orgless.
Yeah, oh, Copy!
Wow, that was a spicy snipe coming out from Copy. Takes Young out right in the mid lane. That's got to feel good.
That wasn't even his flash either. He picked that up from somewhere. I don't know exactly who from. Probably just from Young as he flashed there in the mid lane. But Rift Herald will be popped. It will take down that mid lane turret. You see 100 Thieves could have Dragon Control because they took down the mid laner who doesn't have teleport. He went for the cleanse for all the CC. And that means that this should be the second Dragon 400 Thieves. And they will very happily trade that for the Rift Herald. Do believe they came out slightly ahead in that play, getting not only the Ocean Drake, but a turret and the kill. This puts it more on, in even pars. Lawrence is able to grab a solo turret for himself. But, I mean, these teams just going tit for tat here in game one. 16 minutes in, only having a 300 goal difference between the teams is pretty crazy.
Yeah, and let's have a quick look at the gold, actually, shall we? Just to see what's really going on. And the story tells us that top lane is the big difference, but it makes a whole lot of sense. 30 5 CS above with 4 kills to his name. Lawrence obviously has been putting on a show. But we still have pretty much the rest of the members outshining in every position, aside from a slight discrepancy in that mid lane. But still, it's really Lawrence, on the back of Lawrence, that Orgless need to play through in order to try to really close this one out as soon as they can.
Looking
Here we have a
for
little
tenacity.
Here's a little bit of a gank. He's going to try to duel him out. Barrel going to connect. Huge jump coming in from City Witty. The rest of the team is here, ready to party. Flash comes out, and City Witty has to back away. They invest 3 in that bot side, which is going to allow 100 Thieves to push in to this top side and maybe get their first tier 2 in that top lane.
Yeah, 3 members plus the semi-global in the Tom Kench ultimate. So this entire top side jungle now belongs to 100 Thieves. Thankfully, there's nothing for them to take. So Orgless are actually not going to lose anything from the aggressive use of their spells there, even though they didn't take down Tenacity. They're actually just going to gain a large chunk of damage onto the bottom lane tier 2. And yeah, 100 Thieves are just going to shove in the waves and reset. Try to possibly collapse on Lawrence, but he has Flash and he has his jungler in his back pocket. I think that was a really great move from Orgless to continue the pressure on their strong side of the map, and they don't get punished at all.
So we do have 2 Blade of the Ruined Kings coming off to the side of Vex and Lawrence.
For all the health bars that are on 100 Thieves.
Yeah. I was starting to think about that. Do you think that's a smart investment, or is it just for the attack speed that they really just need it?
It does give you a lot of kiting potential as well. You know, I definitely agree with it on to Lawrence, as he is mainly going to be in the side lane, and that extra slow to close the gap against the Gangplank right there.
Speaking of that slow, Lawrence in a little bit of trouble. He finds himself between a 1v2, and now that's going to be GP's ulti that finishes and seals the deal. Cannon Barrage working in his favor, still taken out, but the 1-for-1, he'll at least have a kill to his name.
But that is not what you want if you are Orgless. You should not be trading your 4-in-1 Lucian, with the top laner. Your goal is to just smash this lane wide open, get that kill, hopefully get a tier 2 turret on top of it while 100 Thieves is setting up around this Baron. Because the Lucian went down as well, that means effectively the pressure is completely canceled out on the bottom side, and actually waves pushing into Orgless now. So 100 Thieves should have some agency to take control over mid and start to look towards setting up around this Baron.
Yeah, Baron's still, in my opinion, a little too early to take. I don't think there's a lot of damage coming out, especially with 3 Blade of the Ruined Kings on the map. They're not going to have... I mean, with the Kalista still, you can't deny those stacks. But on the side of Orgless, it might take them quite some time to burn down that Baron. However, Dragon is on the menu, soon to speak, with 1:15 left for that one. And we do see Kha'Zix as well as the rest of his team trying to push through and get some vision for themselves in order to set this up.
Yeah, when 100 Thieves plays around the Baron, they don't even necessarily want to take the objective. Their goal is to control vision around the pit and then use that to find really good picks with the Zoe or the Elise. And then if Orgless ever, show multiple members on the other side of the map, you have a Kalista, right? She is so good at taking those objectives. Now, around the Dragon, almost a trap laid there by City Witty, but he's going to be spotted out.
Yeah, and Poom continues the chase as City Witty in a little bit of trouble. Facebreaker not going to connect. He's going to hop away, throwing a couple of spikes to the side of 100 Thieves, but they're still starting this Dragon Dance as early as possible. Tenacity getting the jump onto City Witty, but he doesn't have enough damage to really return the fight. The Cocoon not going to follow up here for Kenvi. And now the fight a little bit scattered. The whole team is trying to find their way in, but it's a little bit split across the line.
But it's a really low jungler. Tenacity was able to heal up from that fruit. City Witty is still at half HP. He has to be very careful. It's a squishy Kha'Zix, even though he has Hex Drinker. If he jumps in and gets hit by that Elise, it's going to be no smite for Orgless.
Yeah, something actually was able to connect here for the side of Orgless, but now they back away. And the Dragon is going to be completed by both of these teams as they're going to fire in from both sides.
You get a smite.
Kenvy's looking for that steal, and it's actually going to go over to Orgless, but the fight breaks out with a huge haymaker onto that back line. And now with the back line untouched, they are able to decimate. Lawrence not having enough damage, and Latano now, the last one, still alive. Sorry, Young now on their tree. A triple kill going over to Otto, looking for the quad. Tenacity wants a piece of that pie, but Otto gonna take the whole deal, and the 1-for-5 exchange, 100 Thieves on the board.
You get the Dragon, but at what cost? My God, who stole Otto's pentakill there? I would have loved to see the penta coming in. Yeah, let's look at that replay. We got to figure out who to blame for stealing the penta. So we can take a look at this fight. 940 HP on this Dragon as Kenvi tries to go in. And the smite does go over to Orgless, but as soon as that happens, they're on full retreat. It seems like the rest of the team doesn't even want to try to turn around and go for the fight. That engage from the Callista and the set, the sharpshooter. Oh, hang on, back to live as Boom is caught out.
Yeah, he's going to try to stay alive. Haymaker going to be coming out, but he is as good as dead. No summoners available. I mean, you could have lost a more important person. You know, losing Poom isn't the end of the worst case scenario, but we do see Kenvi having a little bit of a tussle in the river with City Witty. But yeah, that fight that just broke out here around the Dragon, Lawrence was trying to make his way through, do as much damage as possible, but if you paid attention, Young was just constantly on the retreat. I think he used all his spells and then just backed away. He wasn't really active in the fight, and that's something that he might need to reconsider and do in that next fight. I mean, he might have been afraid of this big, beefy front line in Poom. The huge haymaker came out. He had so much HP. He was like, I'm not dealing with that. I'm running away. But Lawrence went full force into that back line, and unfortunately, they couldn't do anything with it.
Ooh, okay, Tenacity, he should be okay. There's the ult.
Yeah, but now a fight breaks out here in the river. Kenvi trying to make his way away, but that's going to be Poom getting a huge haymaker onto City Witty, but Latano off to the side and Otto poking through just a little bit. But Lawrence, thinking that a fight was going to get any deeper, has to rotate back to that top side. But a huge wave is about to connect with the turret. He's going to continue pushing into that tier 2 as the fight continues in the red side jungle, and Poom now leading that charge as they clear the vision. They need to do something as Lawrence is starting to break their base piece by piece.
Yeah, and they want to force onto this Baron. Lawrence has teleport, so does Tenacity, but it's already one global for 100 Thieves pushed down. Lawrence is trying to back so he can TP, but Tenacity's not letting him. Those steers are stacking up.
Yeah, and they're almost close enough to secure this Dragon. Copy actually going to get taken out by Young. This is the fight that they want. Showstopper going to get City Witty out of the pit. And now with Fate's Call, they re-engage. Huge haymaker, but Poom going to die for his team's sins as two are looking to retreat. But Lawrence now on pursuit. A quick recall comes out from Otto. He's able to get away. Tenacity as well with the Baron buff. And now Kenvi, the last member alive, he might just have to sacrifice himself. But that's going to be Lawrence. He's hunting for it. Oh, and just sidesteps. Oh, my goodness. What a beautiful dodge of the culling. But a pause comes out as Copy disconnects. We're going to have to figure out what type of issues he may be having. But what a phenomenal game so far. 25 minutes, 12 kills on the side of 100 Thieves, 11 kills on the side of Orgless. A little bit of a 3K gold discrepancy. I have to attribute it to that Dragon fight, but nonetheless, these teams are still active and still ready to get scrappy.
Yeah, what a way to kick off a series between the defending champions and one of the favorites for taking their crown in this just absolute slugfest of a game that has just been back and forth. And I mean, I want to talk a little bit more about some of these objective fights that we've been seeing because they have been the big swings, the big deciders in this game. Orgless still are really struggling from a lack of engagement. You saw it around that Dragon fight where, yes, Lawrence has tons of damage, but Young, before the fight started, had wasted the Scatter the Weak, wasn't able to find anything off of it. And beyond that, it's hard for Orgless to pick a fight and they were just demolished by the sharpshooter combo of Auto throwing that one in. And then also like taking a look at the Baron fight. So although 100 Thieves do have a lot of engaged tools, you can see here because Lawrence was not at the actual fight quite yet, they were really focused on this Baron. Otto, Poom, and Kenvi spent all of their attention on this objective, and Kabi is kind of left out to dry as he gets engaged by actually ults forward into the rest of the team. Thankfully, they win the smite fight that was actually a 50-50. Very scary for 100 Thieves. And if Orgless had taken that smite, we would be looking at a completely different game state right now. But I think 100 Thieves just need to be a bit more cognizant of where Orgless is approaching these fights. They had the vision that time around, but they really tunneled in on finishing the objective instead of turning for the fight. I do think they are more powerful.
Yeah, we'll have to see. One of the problems that we alluded to in that early pregame was that there's a lack of front line, and obviously 100 Thieves supplemented that lack of front line with the set. I mean, obviously he may not be super innately tanky, but that haymaker is able to keep him alive for a considerable amount of time. The same can't really be said for the side of Orgless. Yes, they have Latano. Yes, he's got thick skin that can come out at the moment's notice, but that's not enough for the amount of damage that could come through at the drop of a dime. But we are back into game, ladies and gentlemen, as the next target for both these teams will very likely be this Ocean Drake. With both teams 2 apiece, this one is crucial.
This one is going to be absolutely huge. Soul Point is not something you want to give over to your opponents. And I expect these teams to go full force for this objective. Orgless is there first, which is very important. If you get choked out of this jungle and you don't have vision of the Zoe or the Callista who might throw in the set, then it becomes so scary to ever check the objective. And with how quickly Callista can burn those objectives down, it would be almost guaranteed for 100 Thieves. So I love that Orgless really rushed here to set up defensive vision. Remember, though, they are working against a Baron. That is going to be very tough, and there's the engage.
Ooh, here we go. That's going to be the Cannon Barrage. It's trying to get that back line to slow down just a little bit. Lawrence off to the side, actually getting Copy down to 50%. Poom as well, dangerously low, but they set their sights onto that Dragon as 100 Thieves are looking to heavy push onto this inhibitor, and they keep knocking down. Still 2 members burning down that Dragon. It's down to 50% HP, but they've got their sights set, like you said, on the inhibitor. And the base race, not really a base race, more of an objective race, but Dragon for inhibitor, 100 Thieves, I think, come out on top.
Yeah, I love this. They have the Baron, they have the mid push, and they say, you have no engage. You're set up around the Dragon. We're not going to be able to face check you, but there's nothing you can do to stop us from just taking your base. So they trade the possibility of a power spike later on with the Soul for the guaranteed power spike of getting an inhibitor, that immediate gold influx.
Yeah, and they're still actually looking for a little bit more. Might as well use that Baron buff to their full advantage. They're looking for that top tier inhibitor. Arrows flying
Might
through
be
from
staying
King
a little
Vex.
too long, though.
Yeah, City, when he's looking for that flank, he's invisible as he starts to get into that fray, and Drowsy lands onto Lawrence. That will give them the opportunity to escape. 3 members strong in this top side. Copy trying to poke through, but here comes Lawrence doing so much damage onto that front line. Face call going to get Poom out of there, but they might be looking for that re-engage as he's thrown right back into the fray, and they trade blow for blow as King Vex as well, and they actually get the Drowsy and Auto going in absolutely deep. Wild Turtle is calling. He wants his 80 carry back, and Young almost falls to that long-range pierce, and they're able to get 1 kill for none as they continue this top lane push.
100 Thieves keep their cool. They just walk out of the initial engage, and as soon as all of those big cooldowns are used, they say, hey, we've still got everything available, and Auto pulls the trigger. He flashes in once he sees that vulnerable Varus separated from the Tahm Kench. There was no safety for Vex to actually walk up and try to push out that DPS, and Auto 100% punished him for it. Having the QSS too to immediately get out of the Scatter the Weak and continue his aggressive push was really fun to watch. That was a wonderful engage by 100 Thieves, and again, like I feel like I'm really harping on this point, but I thought Orgless had a phenomenal flanking position onto 100 Thieves who had stayed too long. But what are they gonna do? 100 Thieves just got to walk away because there's no Ornn, there's no
Whoa!
Nautilus, there's no Lucian because he's
Oh,
gonna die.
no. Kenvi copy with the long-range snipe, not even from downtown. That might have been even longer than downtown. That was pretty much from base. No, it's an exaggeration. But used
That's
the
so
flash to get there, managed to get the kill, and that's a crucial pick. They really needed to play through Lucian, but now they're looking for more as they push in this bot lane and try to get the all three pieces of Exodia here and try to get that third inhibitor.
Yeah, now without the Lucian, they can just park Tenacity in one of these lanes, have, essentially nobody that can now afford to contest him, and they can just push the bot lane, try to get down this third inhibitor. This would be a great setup to the Baron, which is spawning soon.
Oh no, Chains of Corruption absolutely whiffed. Lutano has to pay for Varus' sins as they still are trying to engage with this fight. Huge flash, base breaker with the showstopper onto Young. They are using all of the tools in the kitchen sink, and they find two as Lawrence finally spawns back, but another sleepy bubble trouble lands onto the Lucian, and the double kill from Tenacity is clean as they just absolutely chew up the front and the back line with these two turrets, the last to fall. 100 Thieves take game number 1, and they're looking dominant in this 30-minute game.
Yeah, impressive showing from game number 1. It was a hard-fought battle. Don't let the 10,000 gold difference distract you from the fact that 100 Thieves were not guaranteed that game. I mean, that was actually kind of sketchy there through the mid game where there was a couple of fights around the objectives that very easily could have gone the other way. I'm really looking at that Baron fight where it was a 50-50 smite and Orgless won the fight afterwards. But in the end, they are able to pull it out. They had a very great comp that they executed incredibly well on. And I'm excited to watch the rest of the games with these two teams because if it's anything like game number 1, it's going to be a hell of a series.
Yeah, and just to quickly touch on before we go to a quick little break, the damage charts, look at them. They don't really tell
I
that
don't know if I
story
want
of
to.
such a dominant game. We've got Lawrence as well as Young leading in damage in this game, but not able to capitalize on the quick rotations, like you said in that the second last team fight, where they had all of their utility still up. They were able to re-engage and get the kills that they needed on the crucial members. And you can see that in the story. Just because Orgless is leading in damage does not mean that they are able to transition that into key objectives that 100 Thieves were just so good with moving around the map.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's hard. You look at the composition and composition wise, like if I had not seen that game at all, I would have said, well, why are you have Lawrence on this aggressive top lane pick? You don't have any CC to follow it up. But he had such a phenomenal game. It's like, well, maybe you should put him back onto that. So going into game 2, I really do think that Orgless should draft a bit more agency into their composition. The whole they can't fight back if they're dead strategy, works sometimes, but
Yeah.
it feels a bit inconsistent to me. So just putting a few more tools in their arsenal. So when they have those great positions where they have 100 Thieves caught out in a bad situation, they actually can engage, can take the fight instead of just kind of walking at them and, kind of slowing them down with their multiple Blade of the Ruin Kings, because that just wasn't working.
You thought it might have, but we'll have to see with game number 2. But we are going to throw to a quick little break as our teams re-strategize, rethink what are they going to do in game number 2. But don't you go anywhere. We've got more Upsurge action heading your way soon.
Do we fight to hold our heads up high and beat the drums to what we love? Risk the fall, or we have felt it all come crashing down giants. Can we bring to fall the giants? Can we bring to fall the giants? Can we bring to fall the giants?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the stream. Hopefully, you've had some time to maybe grab yourself a quick beverage, but now is the time to get those butts into seats, and we're about to watch some insane action as we enter into game number 2 with the 100 Thieves next taking game number 1.
What better way to practice social distancing than to tune into the UPL playoffs? And what a series to watch, too. Game number 1 was a lot closer than I and maybe some people out in the audience initially thought it was going to be. This is the returning champions, but there have been a lot of roster changes even during the or in the playoffs. But Lawrence came out swinging in game number 1 with his Lucian, just completely demolished the lane, and it looked like that Orgless were just going to have this kind of free path into the mid game. Couple of one fights by 100 Thieves around the objectives, though, said otherwise, and they were able to clutch out the win. Going into game number 2, it'll be interesting to see what kind of adaptations Orgless want to make. Do they want to continue around this all eggs in Lawrence's basket, or do they start to kind of move their draft resources across the team a little bit and get some more team fighting capability?
Yeah, well, last pick and ban, we did see 100 Thieves really pinch that jungle pool and that forced City Witty on the cause. It's not that he did a horrible job. It's just that I think that if he had a little bit of CC, maybe even a little bit in his kit, it would have definitely set up a lot more plays in that top side for Lawrence, but maybe even for that mid lane and Young, as well as that gank assist with the Syndra that they had last game. It might have boded a little bit rougher for Copy, but we'll have to see as we head into the next pick and ban. Both teams are ready to go. We'll have to see what they select, with Orgless taking blue side and 100 Thieves taking the red side.
Yeah, Orgless having the blue side this time around should be big for them, if only to just force 100 Thieves to not ban so many junglers, because I mean, they already cut with the Graves, but now that you're on the red side, you have to think about those powerful first picks like the Ornn, like the Aphelios, those kind of things. So, maybe they'll just go back to the triple jungle ban, but maybe they'll try to pinch him once again. It's going to be the Graves and the Syndra so far, continuing on that Graves train, and then not wanting Young to have that Syndra from game.
Yeah, the Kalista taken away, but 100 Thieves. Very interesting to see what they ban, as Set and Ornn are still going to be available if they don't decide to ban it away. Obviously, Ornn being a red side ban consistently across professional play, but the Zoe being taken away. Orgless pinching the champions that they do not want to see return from game number 1. But what is the 100 Thieves going to ban last in this first phase?
They could potentially let the Ornn through, assuming that Orgless would first pick it and try to get a very aggressive top jungle duo. If you can get Tenacity and Kenby on the same page and just try to bully out this champion who is kind of known for having to play the weak side. Yes, Ornn does have a deceptively good laning phase. No, it's going to be the Set. Remember, this was a flex down to the bottom lane for Poom in game number 1. Orgless could potentially pull off a safe.
Now, with the Ornn available, what will 100 Thieves pick? The timer ticking down. So many options for them as they have, really phenomenal players across the board that can flex champions in very different positions. I think I've seen Copy even on an Ornn. So we can expect this to potentially be flexible to that top or to that mid side, but we will have to see where they decide to put that Ornn. Obviously, we can kind of use that as a placeholder for that top lane, but we have seen it in the mid lane at the highest level of play.
Yeah, it's just such a good utility pick. Offers so much to your team. The engage, the gold influx, has some damage as well. I think it's most likely probably going to be paired along or going to Tenacity, putting him back on the weak side of the map against the Set. But this time, like we said, it wasn't the so many jungle bans coming through. We might see City Witty on something with a bit more agent.
Ooh, and that's going to be the Kai'Sa hover. Orgless using the Kai'Sa to great effect in the last playoff match they had against a new Academy. And that's a comfort pick, right? In the bot lane. That's something that you have to be happy with. Vex last game on the Varus wasn't really the best performance, but the Kai'Sa, it's something that he loves and something that he can play well, and it's paired up with a great engage in Nautilus.
Yeah, I love this so much more than game one already. You get a little bit of late game scaling under your belt, and the Kaisa plus Nautilus is a phenomenal engage tool. Not being able to really avoid the Nautilus ult in any way, unless you're Zaya, which coincidentally auto did lock in, but getting that guaranteed CC onto a member that Kaisa can then ult to is a very powerful engage combo, and it should let them be a bit more confident when they're working around these mid-game objective fights, because they can actually be the ones to pull off that engage. It comes at the cost, though, of Kenby's Lee Sin.
Yeah, but to be fair, that's a comfort pick that he is very, very comfortable with, considering he's mastered the previous season's 2 main junglers in Lee Sin and Elise. He's got a full repertoire ready to go, and it's something that I can definitely see him playing very comfortably into. But the Braum's starting to be pinched. Not sure that ban is going to stick, as the Rakan seems to be like the more likely ban as it comes through. Trundle being answered back for 100 Thieves. Let's see what they finish off with in this last ban phase.
Yeah, once again, though, it is Orgless not picking up their jungle in the first rotation. So, 100 Thieves have the opportunity to just start banning out junglers. You see the Trundle's gone. It's the counter to the Ornn. The Rek'Sai is gone. So, one of those early game junglers. What is City Witty going to go back to now? We do see Rengar up, but do you want to pick Rengar into a turret?
And a Lee Sin as well.
And a Lee Sin, yeah.
Yeah, and a Lee Sin.
Actually, their whole comp is actually so hard to play against Rengar, because Xayah can just ult him.
Yeah. However, we do have Olaf. I think Olaf would work really, really well here for Orgless. It is up and available. The ban phase has completed. Gragas, another really, really good pick here that City Witty could play on. But I really just thought that Olaf was going to be quite well. I don't know how he does into Lee Sin, but the Sejuani hovered here, having a good tanky front lineup. We'll have to see if that sticks, but it will stick, and that'll be the Sejuani jungle, with the mid lane now being the last pick here for Orgless.
Yeah, I think the Olaf could have been very powerful. Orgless wanting to make sure they don't fall into the trap from game one of not having enough engage. Maybe they're overcorrecting and putting too much engage in there, not having enough damage, because right now they're kind of putting a lot of their pressure onto Vex, saying, hey, we just want to buy time for you, and you're going to carry us in the late game. This Aurelia hover, though, could change things around. It's going to be locked in. This will be a flex between top and mid, most likely. Lawrence and Young are going to be piloting these ones around. They want to make sure they see what 100 Thieves is going to lock in.
Yeah, and Aurelia also very interestingly so, if it ends up in the top lane, that is what Tenacity is known for his Aurelia. So he'll be able to play into that matchup knowing every single in and out, and it'll be the Azir locked in for copy. What a comp they've got themselves for this game too.
Absolutely. I mean, it's going to match the late game power of Vex on the Kaisa, but also, I mean, if you guys look at this composition from 100 Thieves, and you look at the win conditions for both these teams and how they want to play fights, Orgless is a full dive comp to the map. You know, you're putting tons of long range CC. You've got 2 carries that love to just dive into the back line, but you are going up against so many disengage tools in the Azir wall, Taric ultimate. I mean, you can go on and on with all the ways 100 Thieves can once again disengage from fights, and it's kind of how they played game number 1, is they just absorbed the engage from Orgless, and then once all those big tools, all those big ultimates were used, that's when they re-engage. So it's looking like a similar game plan with the composition they put together.
Yeah, and that's really why now I'm realizing, after you're telling me all of your analysis and you're bringing it to my brain's trying to scramble those eggs inside. That is why they took away the Kalista and the Zoe. They didn't want that disengage again, but still 100 Thieves was able to somehow pull out a comp and still bring it to the forefront. And as you were saying, they do have a great disengage, and it will be a problem for Orgless. They also have a really good re-engage. If the Ornn can really hold on to the Ornhorn, he can really turn around a fight, but we'll have to see how they use the ultimates to their kind of advantage, as they did so in game number 1 and were able to manage those team fights so incredibly well.
Yeah, I mean, if you cover up the Lee Sin if you put most other junglers in there, I would look at this comp and I would say, oh, this is going to be a snooze fest. We're going to farm until 35 minutes, and then it's going to be Kaisa versus Azir in damage. But because it is Lee Sin, and because it is specifically Kenby's Lee Sin, I'm kind of holding back a little that 100 Thieves have the chance to kind of blow this game wide open. If they can get Kenby to get aggressive and do some counter jungling and really put pressure onto the Sejuani, then they will be in a phenomenal place to actually, go into this mid game and have a serious lead. And if you get to your late game items before the other late game comp, good luck losing a team.
Yeah, we'll have to see both these teams and have their picks locked in. There's nothing that can be done now. I'm wondering if Orgless, if they could go back to the drawing board, what they would change, what they would do differently. Because there is one pain point that I am looking at. They do have an incredible dive comp, but the Kaisa is definitely not the strongest ADC in the early game. And if 100 Thieves can really start to snowball some sort of lead, especially using Lee Sin in that bot side, they can really start to lay down some hurt and try to secure a Dragon Soul super, super early. But, I mean, that's obviously very conditional depending on how Orgless play. But the Kaisa, very, very weak until she gets rolling with some items.
Yeah, thankfully the engage on 100 Thieves side is pretty telegraphed. So if you're playing as this Kaisa, I mean, the big ultimates you're looking for are the Ornn, obviously, and then the Lee Sin landing a Q on you, or just Tark walking up into your face. And Kaisa actually, on the most recent patch, got a decent buff to her E, the cooldown on her E. She can use it a lot more liberally. It was only 2 seconds off of it, but when you factor in that you lose 1 second on the cooldown every time you auto attack, in the late game, that might mean 2 to 3 extra scenarios where you can go invisible, you have that increased movement speed. So thankfully there is a good amount of kiting built into Kai'Sa's kit, and the engage is pretty telegraphed. So it is definitely going to be a lot on Vex's shoulders, though. When we get to that late game, he has to play carefully. He is the main damage source, and if he gets picked off, it's almost over for Orgless.
So you've pretty much laid out what Orgless needs to do, especially in this game number 2. The odds are stacked against them. 100 Thieves having that game 1 lead. They're sitting comfortable. Even if they throw this game completely to the nines, they still have game number 3 to make up for those mistakes. But we're obviously in game number 2, and if 100 Thieves play phenomenally well, they're going to come out of this best of 3 just with a 2-0 sweep. So if you're 100 Thieves, how do you maintain that lead, and what are the win conditions that you need to play through to maintain that lead?
And that's the best thing for 100 Thieves is they kind of have the clock on their side. Yes, there is a Kaisa that you're going up against, but you have a Xayah and an Azir. That's 2 late game threats to the 1. Not to mention, you've got an Ornn on your team. Those ornaments are so huge, giving just thousands upon thousands of free gold to your team the longer the game goes on. So they do have Kenby on his signature Lee Sin if they want to look for aggressive picks in the early game, and I definitely think that they should. I don't want them to just kind of sit on their haunches and wait for the scaling to come through. You should try to make a lead for yourselves, but if they do mess up some of those early game plays, they always have the option to sit back, farm, and wait for the late game.
And that's something that we saw a little bit in that previous game. Obviously, GP Tenacity was just trying to stay safe against Lawrence, but we did see in that bot lane, Otto bought that call early, and he knew that that lane was going to be a little bit of a snooze fest. We have a Nautilus on our hands in the bot lane. Definitely don't think it's going to be a snooze fest, but compared to last game, both of these teams are really going to need to amp up the damage and amp up the, I mean, as Doc would say, the momentum, the violence in this early game, because while there is a clock, they have the tools. Both teams have the tools to get some fights in early and try to fight for some of those early objectives.
Yeah, absolutely. And although I think both teams have decent ways to win in the late game, I think that 100 Thieves composition is a bit easier on the execution just because of all the disengage tools that they have for them. But we'll see if they even wait to get there, because remember, there's always a chance that Kenvi just pops off on Lee Sin.
Yeah, yeah, and that's something that I'm sure 100 Thieves is thinking about in the back of their mind. His performance on Elise was good. I don't think it's the Kenvi that we know and we've seen before time and time again throughout the regular season. So compared to the Elise, he's going to really need to step it up just a couple of notches if he really wants to get into the enemy jungle, get some invades early, dive that top lane. And that's something that we haven't really even got to mention is that Set is in that top lane, not in that mid lane. Can't really, maybe Orgless doesn't have the ability to flex it around a little bit, but Ornn versus Set, very, very interesting. We'll have to see how that goes. But if for those of you that are just joining us for game number 2, you may have missed a little bit of a surprise earlier on in the day. We have a very special announcement here at Upsurge. We've got a new game coming your way in the summer season. You guessed it. It's going to be Dota 2. 8 teams for the Dota 2 inaugural Premier League. It's going to start on Wednesdays at 8 p.m. during the summer. But if you want more information, applications are open until May 6th, and you can find the link bit.ly/2020 Summer Dota 2. I'm sure it'll be thrown up in the chat at some point, but for those of you that are interested, head over to that link, start your applications now, and let's get some Dota games going. But with that, without further ado, we're going to head to a quick little break as we get into the game with the spectator delay. Don't you go anywhere. Ladies and gentlemen, hopefully we weren't gone for too long as our summoners have officially loaded up onto the Rift. We're ready to cast some of this amazing action. But for those of you that may be just joining us, it is Orgless on the blue side and 100 Thieves on the red side.
It absolutely is. They have swapped around, and look at this, the level 1 shenanigans. I love it.
Yeah, Nautilus. Yeah, Nautilus leading that charge, no doubt. As we have a counter invade off to the opposite side, but City Witty looking to start on this red side. Kenvi walking away from that red buff.
Yeah,
They actually don't waste any wards except Ornn and Taric getting some of that deep vision in.
Yeah, importantly though, Poom was able to get that ward that is going to spot the red buff as well as the path leading to the Krugs. So they should have some information if City Witty decides to start down here. Now, once again, I think Orgless in the early game will want to play around Lawrence. The set into the Ornn is a very favorable matchup for the set, and having the melee top laner to stack the Sejuani passive against the fairly immobile Ornn can be a very powerful tool that ward you saw all 3 members coming over here to the red buff, so they know where he's starting. And thankfully, Tenacity should know to play a bit safer in about 30 to 45 seconds.
Yeah, Auto getting a little bit of harass on as they're able to wait in that tri-bush, but they back away and maybe look to try to get a little bit of a push going, but Latano walks in confidently. Hook does connect onto Auto. They turn things back with the Dazzle and Boom leading that charge. Ignite actually going to go out as well in that level 1 fight. Actually I don't really know. I think they both kind of got a little bit heavy, but I think it goes over to the side of Orgless.
I would definitely put that over to 100 Thieves just because, I mean, Lutano committed a summoner spell, and 100 Thieves still have all 4 of theirs. Now there's the re-engage.
Ooh, and that's going to be the root that comes out from Latano. Uses the flash to get on out of there. Now the advantage is definitely there.
Yeah, I mean, now you have a summonerless support.
Ooh, and the re-engage connects again as Auto tries to stay alive using that heal. King Vex taking a little bit of damage, but now City Witty getting into that brush, waiting to engage as he has potential here to fight, as they might be looking to try to take down these low health targets in King Vex and Latano, but they're playing so aggressively. Lee Sin making his way to that bot side, but the recall, sneaky deaky, comes in from City Witty, and they're hoping for a fight, but the hook, and he sidesteps, but the Dazzle connects. Perfect flash, and Lee Sin with the flash Sonic Wave not able to connect, and the safeguard back over to safety. What a scrappy fight here to start things off.
And nobody dies at the end of it all. Such an aggressive first couple of levels here for Vex and Lutano. They really try to go all in. I mean, Lutano does hit a couple hooks, but you don't have to go in on every single hook. And early on, the attack speed that Xayah gets from her W, as just well as the extra armor from the Taric, is going to give them the edge in the 2v2 trade. And that forces the Kaisa Nautilus to blow 3 summoner spells for basically nothing. Thankfully, they are able to kind of catch Auto out afterwards, and they really chunk him down with those aggressive moves. And that means that once Kenvi finally joins the fight, Auto is essentially not there. He has to stay under his turret, pick up that wave. He's only at 100 HP. And so although Kenvi does go in, great flash away by Vex to avoid getting picked off. And yeah, I mean, everybody walks away from that, and we're at a even state. Small gold lead over to Orgless as they forced Auto off of a lot of farm in the bottom.
Yeah, now this bot lane with what looks like to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 summoners down in this bot lane. Auto, the only one with his flash remaining, buying the call to start things off. I don't think this is going to be a farm lane, so what do you think about this call buy here for Xayah?
It is interesting. It's something that he's gone back to now a couple of times. Call is a very good early item, and it's something that a lot of crit marksmen will buy to just try to get towards those first couple items. The first 3 items for crit marksmen are very important. Getting your IE +2, usually 2 rapid fire items. And so this is probably just Auto saying, you know what? This is going to be a late game match. My job is to get to my 3 items. This is going to help me do that as efficiently as possible.
Yeah, and King Vex answering back with yet another Doran's Blade, collecting them now, starting his own antique collection of Doran's Blades. Let's see if he buys a 3rd one. Don't think he will, but we'll have to see. Latano here in the brush, getting a little confident, and makes a little bit of sense that the bot lane 400 Thieves backing away, but a fight here in the mid lane, and Copy able to get away from that one. Has to use all of the tools in the tool belt, but here's a gank in the top lane. Lawrence in a little bit of trouble, but able to just sustain all of that damage and walk away without having to burn any summoners.
Kenvi so far 0 for 2 on those Qs. Pulled onto the turret.
Oh, baby, the showstopper. And Kenvi almost bites off too much, and he has to walk away with a sliver of HP as City Witty is looking to invade in that jungle and get some Krugs, get some information. Wow, what a start.
Lawrence pulling out the juke boots today. 1v2 almost finds the jungler of 100 Thieves, and This is not the performance we expected when we saw Kenvi on his signature Lee Sin. The bottom lane missing that Q was understandable. You're in the middle of a minion wave. The enemy ADC flashes away. But that seemed like a pretty easy Q to land there on the top side. And it's not going to go their way. Lawrence is still going to have tons of pressure on this Ornn. Currently 23 CS up. And this is a lane that has no jungler intervention up until that gank. And he's able to get off a great buy. Won't even have to burn his teleport to get back to lane as he shoves it in. So huge advantage up in the top side for Orgless.
Yeah, but considering the circumstance, you have to tip your hat to Tenacity for able to, be really resolute with that D button, holding down that teleport, as that's really the thing that's going to start, like you said in that last game, extending an entire lead if there's a TP advantage. So holding on to that for as long as possible is going to keep him in the game for as long as possible. But again, for Ornn, it's all about transitioning into that mid to late game, being that hefty, defty front line. But Lawrence will have that as well, as we see an engage here in the bot lane. Poom here with the dazzle, and that's going to be the ulti that comes out from City Witty. But the first blood onto Latano, and now the fight continues as Otto has to flash out of the way as Kenvi gets absolutely frozen, and the ultimate from Kaisa. Oh my god, King Vex with the double kill.
Massive play there from Vex, gets 2 kills in that exchange. Not only that, but they're able to turn on to the dragon afterwards. That's going to be a really early Mountain Drake. And not to mention the already 2 plays that have gone down in the bottom side, looking to work on some more. I mean, this game has just been broken wide open now as Vex is backing with 2,300 gold. That is over 1,200 more than Otto. Almost a full BF sword. You can see coming in here, still level 5 on Otto. He doesn't have his ultimate to avoid any of this CC. Kenvi thinks he can turn this one around, so he W's you in. And 100 Thieves are so damn set on getting this trade kill. But Vex, very smartly, he hides behind his jungler, lets the Sejuani block all of the skill shots. And then, when the jungler's dead, he ults in the backline for the cleanup.
Yeah, King Vex not only using the killer instinct, but having the killer instinct to engage with that fight. But now with this bot lane in the top side, they're looking to hopefully engage onto Tenacity. He's not having a good day. A fight in the mid lane as well, as Young takes with the solo kill onto Copy, and Tenacity now on the retreat using the Ornn Horn, but gets taken out before that. And that's going to be the connect that comes out from Latano, and he's still alive. Oh my goodness, Kenvi, what are you doing? But the double kill over to King Vex, now 4-0-1. Strong start.
There is actually so much that had to go right for Lutano to live there, and he walks away from it alive. Tanks the turret very smartly, just stays at the edge, never actually commits his engage because he knows if he goes too far in, he's going to die to the turret aggro. And then surviving the initial burst from the Lee Sin, I think that might have been the Aftershock proc, to be honest. And then hooking the Lee Sin out of his Q as he came in for the completion to try to finish off that kill means that Lutano will walk away. Vex is going to pick up his 4th kill of the game, and Orgless are looking dominant to send this to a game number 3.
Yeah, I mean, the game's not over until the dust settles, but we'll have to see if 100 Thieves are able to come back from this. It's going to be rough when you have King Vex on an ADC that struggles in the early game, already 4 kills up. We got a little bit of a situation here in the bot lane, so 100 Thieves really needs to start to think about what are they going to do in this game that is going to allow them to come back, or what do we do for the next game in order to close the best of 3.
Yeah, and because Vex is so far ahead right now, Orgless can actually just sit him in the side lane against Ornn and not even have a support. They know that he is strong enough to 1v2 most people if he has to, or at least get out with his E. And this means that Lutano has a lot of freedom to roam around the map, try to make some more plays, break this game open even further. So they're waiting for Copy, looking for a play. Herald in City's inventory. There it is.
Oh no, off to the prison he goes. Copy having to flash out, but that's going to be a beautiful ultimate that comes out. Emperor's absolutely dividing that engage, but the Rift Herald mid Now they're looking for this first turret in the mid lane.
Yeah, Copy might not have fallen, but it doesn't change the fact that he's so low. They have to give this one up. I'm actually surprised Orgless is not sticking around here with a lot of their ultimates still available. You have the Kaisa Nautilus combo. I feel like they could have pushed for that final turret, but not wanting to risk giving over any extra gold to 100 Thieves. They're going to play it nice and safe and maintain their 5,000 gold lead at 11 minutes.
Now with this bot lane from Orgless in the mid lane, Copy trying to clear the waves as fast as possible. Poom joining him to help with that. But like you said, there is a clock. You mentioned it in the pregame. There is some saving grace here for 100 Thieves, but Orgless have the opportunity to stop that clock and close this game out early. And they might do so with this next objective coming online, Cloud Drake, in a minute.
Yeah, that clock feels like it's ticking a little slow right now.
Ooh, my God, the depth charge. Latano using the bread and butter combo, flashing over the wall. Hook, ulti, line, and sinker. And Vex follows up with the kill. 7-0, 12 minutes in, 100 Thieves. What can they do to come back?
I mean, they got to be a little bit more careful. Copy walking up without flash or ultimate through there. Yes, that is an abnormal place for the Kaisa Nautilus to be, but when you have a Nautilus with Hex Flash, you just have to be super careful when you're walking through the jungle. He went to place the ward over the river, or over the wall into the river brush, sorry, and it was Latano there waiting for him. 100 Thieves really, they just need to try to stall this game in any way possible. It's going to be very difficult for them, and I would expect Orgless to have to make some significant mistakes for 100 Thieves to claw their way back into this one, as not only are they significantly ahead, their main damage threat is super fed, and they took down the mid turret before 15 minutes. So this entire jungle now is free real estate for them to push up and just lay down the vision.
Yeah, and with that vision now clear, they're able to secure the dragon. I think even with the vision there, they were still going to be able to secure the dragon. But with the cloud and mountain now to their name, Ocean will be the soul of the game, similar to last game. Still a really, really good soul. I'm expecting to, for Orgless to continue this aggression and maybe secure the soul, but we do see an engage here in the top side. Lawrence trying to flash the Ornhorn, not able to do it. That's going to be a huge showstopper that comes out, but it's not enough to clear the way as Tenacity gets his first kill on the board.
And we won't have the perfect game by Orgless. It is the shutdown. Or, sorry, not the shutdown, but just finally getting something on the board for Tenacity, who was struggling up in this lane, fairly a lot. Also, big that Kenview was able to get a little bit of gold in his pocket. Got the assist on that one from the Safeguard Shield. And it's not really the target you wanted to shut down, but 100 Thieves will take the gold nonetheless. They just try to weather this storm that is Orgless right now. You can see them putting down defensive vision smartly, not walking into their own jungle, and never really walking out past their turrets. They understand that as long as Vex is around, or as long as Vex is missing, they are in a dangerous position.
Yeah, now, kind of going back to how Copy died in that Hex Flash engage from Latano, you've got these amazing tools from Latano and City Witty that once you get CC'd even by one of the tools on their tool belt, you are as good as gone, especially with this Kaisa, like you said. 100 Thieves have to play safe, and they're playing safe as much as possible, but there comes a threshold point where you can't just keep giving everything up, and it's going to be up to Kenvy or whoever the shot caller is on the team, or if it's a group decision, to decide what to give up and what to go for.
Yeah, I think that breakpoint is at the Ocean Soul. Next Dragon coming up in just a few minutes. I don't think 100 Thieves, barring some big play where they come back into the game, are in a position to contest for that third dragon. But you have to contest for the fourth one, right? You cannot give Ocean Soul over to your opponent. It significantly decreases your chances of winning. And with an already very solid team fighting comp on the side of Orgless, it would be that kind of final nail in the coffin.
I think I read a stat somewhere that said in solo queue, if a team has Dragon Soul, there's like a 90% chance or something crazy that they're going to win.
Oh yeah, it's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous, and I still think that will be the case for really professional play. So we'll have to see if Orgless will maintain this aggression and this dominance that they've had in this early game as they secure the Rift Herald, and able to get themselves, a Dragon Soul. But Kenvi may have something to say about that, of course, as 100 Thieves look to try to get back in this game. We have an engage here in the top side. Otto getting stunned up by Young, but a huge engage onto that back line as Poom is going to be the target. Depth charge onto Otto, but now here comes the Ornhorn as Tenacity has joined the party. Hope he brought goodies. Kingvex doing so much damage, and now they're trying to finish the job, but they don't have enough damage as Kingvex now, he's the target, but they're going to return the fight as Otto has to ult out of the way, and so far it's been a 2-for-none exchange as Kenvi trying to clean up as much as possible, but the ace is near as Kenvi falls, and an absolute decimation comes out from Orgless.
Such an awkward fight by 100 Thieves. It was a great look from Orgless to try to dive the turret. The Xayah was cut off from the rest of her team, but Poom dropping that ultimate solo. Let's take a look at the replay. You can see here, because Poom was so far away from Otto, that's why the dive initially came through. And Taric wasting that ultimate, it's really questioning to me that Tenacity, like, I understand that he teleports in to try to save the play, but afterwards, the re-engage by 100 Thieves when you're already missing not only the Taric ultimate, but your ADC is at like 200 HP. It did not feel like they set themselves up to win that fight, and I think that should have been a disengage. But good job by Orgless to just keep the pedal to the metal. They're always looking for new opportunities to balloon this gold lead even further, and that is why they're now 9,000 gold up pre-20 minutes. This is a ridiculous amount of gold that they have in their pockets, and it's allowed them to just have complete control of the map. It's so nice when you're this far up, because every Herald, every Dragon is like guaranteed yours.
Yeah, and now the ball is in Orgless's court. Let's see if they can take it to the hoop, and they're doing so in quite, convincing fashion. 12-1, 18 minutes in. The next Dragon is spawned, and you only need 2 members to do it. As 100 Thieves tries to hide within their sightline. Boom trying to clear vision here and there, but with Baron coming up in about a minute, they need to start thinking about that objective, as you can afford to lose this Dragon, but you definitely cannot afford to lose this upcoming Baron if Orgless decide that they want to go for it.
Yeah, and I don't even think, like, they're so far ahead that they probably don't even need the Baron to push up into the base. There is a decent amount of wave clear. But honestly, I feel like the Ocean Soul is now the timer for 100 Thieves. You have 4 minutes and roughly 30 seconds to find some way to claw back into this game before you have to take a fight at that Ocean Soul. And that fight, if you lose it, probably loses you the game. So 100 Thieves is really in desperation mode right now. If they cannot close this gold gap in the next 4 minutes to a point where they can contest that Ocean Soul, I don't think that we're going to be looking at a 2-0.
Yeah, and 100 Thieves just trying to hold on for dear life as much as possible. And really the only thing that they can do is, at this point, set vision, clear vision, reset vision, do what they can. And they got to run from waves the moment that they see them, because you have players like Young, you have players like Kingvex, and you have the Dark Knights from City Witty and Latano who can just engage in the drop of a hat. You got to just stay as safe as possible. And unfortunately, it's going to be very difficult to do so. But really, I think the point where they can really start to turn things around is the moment Tenacity can start to upgrade some items. Because that might give them some value that they desperately need in order to catch up.
But I mean, does finally hit level 13, so he gets the 2 upgraded items in his inventory. Tenacity more or less stabilizes the lane at this point. But even looking at the rest of his team, what are you upgrading? Your Xayah doesn't have IE. Your Azir doesn't have Death Cap. I mean, they're still a very far away from getting those items that Ornn is going to upgrade. So I think they're in a very dangerous spot. There's another engage.
Ooh, that's going to be the prison, and it only puts Kenvy in there, but he gets taken out. Here comes the Ornhorn into the back line, but they're still continuing the fight. Otto is quite healthy. Citywitty in a little bit of trouble, but here comes Tenacity. 3-man knockup is clean, as here comes the Shurima Shuffle, and they take out King Vex. Now the fight is winnable, but Otto is in trouble. The shutdown comes through, and they're cleaning up the sauce off the table, as now Latano pops the stone plate, but he is in dire straits as he will fall next, and almost the clean ace comes out with 4 down as the 100 Thieves get their first team fight.
Against all odds, 100 Thieves pull it out. They find that corridor in the jungle where they can just go ham with all the AoE. Azir plus Xayah plus Ornn is such a deadly funnel comp if you were able to get in those tight spaces, and they play it beautifully. We talked about the disengage. What a wall from Copy to just completely block off Orgless from ever really entering that fight after it started. And they make the miracle play. They close the gold gap. May only be a little bit, but it's enough to go back, get that IE, get that Zanya's. Now they have items they can upgrade, and now a minute and a half from this Ocean Soul, because testing that objective seems a little bit more possible.
Yeah, they need to start by opening up the base on the outer side. They don't have a single turret to their name, so might have to start with there to create some pressure. But we'll have a quick look at the replay before we head into this Dragon just to see how that fight unwinded. Let's have a see.
Yeah, so it started off with a really good pick onto Kenvy, but he's honestly so far behind that he doesn't offer a lot to this team fight. A good ultimate by Ornn does kind of split the carries off a bit, but look at that 3-man knockup. That was what turned the fight around and bought space for Otto and Copy to actually move forward and start doing what they hadn't been able to do all game long, and that's actually put out damage. They've been so defensive this whole game, but Tenacity bought them that window where they could go on the offensive, and they pounced.
Yeah, we'll have to see, as now we are nearing that point for the Ocean Soul. 30 seconds remaining. 100 Thieves are looking to try to poke their way through, but you have the front line ready to stop the push. But here comes the Ornhorn as they get frisky, looking for a fight. The Ornhorn completely whiffs, but still, Orgless have the utility to re-engage in this fight if they so choose, as Irelia looks to flank set as well in that top side. Huge ultimate onto 4 members. Here comes the hook, but it completely whiffs. They're still looking to fight, but King Vex is in the backline, absolutely decimating. The showstopper finds Otto, and now Tenacity, with his team falling apart, he has to escape, as well as Copy off the side, and a win for Orgless for a 3-0 exchange.
They were so close. 100 Thieves have the confidence after that last play to try to look for a pick onto Vex. If they can kill the ADC, then they will probably get the Dragon. However, just blowing King Vex's flash and not committing on the kill, they burnt a big ultimate in the Ornhorn to do so. And then you can see right after that, they walk in here. Poom's ultimate's not available. Ornhorn is not available. They have no tools left in the follow-up fight to actually have a fighting chance because they blew it all the engage. And that means that Orgless is able to complete those 4 dragons. They get the Ocean Soul. And now 8,000 gold up, and with a massive healing buff in their back pocket, they are in prime position to march into the base and take us to a game.
If we were to just look at the very, very small silver lining, or the one thing that 100 Thieves is doing correctly, they already have Executioners calling on Xayah. So if there is one kind of person that you can put all the weight on their shoulders, it should be Otto, and just trying to keep him alive will at least help in trying to negate some of this damage coming through. But at this point, it may be too little, too late, as Orgless are looking dominant in this mid game.
I also love that Citywitty went for the Stone Plate instead of the Warmog's second item, and now he essentially gets a free Warmog's from Ocean Dragon. It looks like he might be building towards it anyway, but honestly, I don't even think you need that item at this point. You can probably go for something a bit more utility focused for the Sejuani. However, Tenacity trying to survive against the 1v2. 100 Thieves still trying to play that hurry up and wait game, desperately trying to get some more items onto their carries. So they do have the upgraded Molten Edge onto Auto. I don't know if they are... Well, they have to wait till Tenacity hits 15. I don't know if they'll immediately upgrade the Stopwatch or the Zanyas onto Copy for a little bit more armor, or if they want to wait for him to build a Death Cap.
Yeah, we'll have to kind of wait and see. Copy is going to need some sort of grievous wounds as well.
Has
See
the
what he-
components for Morello's in his inventory.
Yeah, he's almost ready to go, but almost isn't going to cut it in this game. I was going to ask you next. There is a clock, right? It's definitely almost broken. It's fallen apart. We got the handles as well as the times. Some of them are missing. For this clock for 100 Thieves, how much time left do you think they have before they come online? Is it 5 minutes? Is it 10 minutes? What do they need in order to start even making a dent in these team fights?
I want to say it's 3 items on both of your carries with upgraded ornaments. So it's going to probably end up being the Zanyas for Copy because he has to go towards the Morellos and Death Cap is way too far off. But Otto already has the Molten Edge, the Essence Reaver, and he's working towards a 3rd crit item. You can see the Agility Cloak in inventory. So once those 2 members are on 3 items and Copy has his now, they can start to fight, but again, it is at a severely disadvantaged position where your enemies are so far ahead and they have to find those perfect fights. Like the one that we saw in the topside jungle where they got into those corridors. If you can get into one of those situations again, it is possible.
Yeah, and Tenacity's looking for that right now as he engages right onto King Vex, and there's 3 members absolutely hailing on the damage, and that's going to be the ultimate that comes right in time from Poom, but that won't be enough. And as they continue to the back line, Otto trying to do what he can. Poom now here going to be the next target as they continue. All of the blades do connect, but King Vex is on an absolute spree. The double kill comes through. They are looking for more, but as they back away, they are feeling good in game number 2.
And that's going to be it. 30 seconds on the death timers, and with an Ocean Soul buffing them up, there should be nothing stopping Orgless from marching into the base and at least taking multiple inhibitors. They may not be able to end the game as they have split their focus on top or mid and bottom. But I mean, yeah, just wonderful fight from them. You can see Vex so hard to actually lock down. Didn't use the ultimate or flash in that fight. That is how ridiculously far ahead the champion is right now. And I don't think that 100 Thieves should be looking for these big flanking plays. I think you still need to be playing on the supreme defensives and only take these fights if you can get them in the jungle or in these, close corridors.
Yeah, and it's really the Kaisa that was Orgless's, strong pick in that previous bracket play up against a new academy. And we're seeing it here, and boy, is it a pick to have in your back pocket. 11, 1, and 6. King Vex is on an absolute tear. We see a little bit of engage, but I expect them to kind of run away as Otto automatically almost has to exit the fight. Kenby going to be the first target as they continue. And we see a sprinting Lawrence off to the back line, and as 100 Thieves crumble, they are looking desperate, trying to run away wherever they can. Tenacity fighting off the Sejuani. Lawrence taking out that back line in their base. And they are looking clean in game number 2 as they look to close things out onto the Nexus.
Tenacity and City Witty knowing that it'd take way too long to actually kill each other, so they're just going to have a nice little party here by the Baron Pits.
Yeah, who's got a stronger Sunfire? That's the real question here. But unfortunately, 100 Thieves coming up short. But fortunately for Orgless, they are still in it to win it in this game. They have shown life, and life looks absolutely nuts. 22-5. Oh my goodness, what a match coming out from Orgless. Wow. We have a game on our hands. We have a set on our hands, folks.
Through complete dominance, and this seemed like a very comfortable composition for 100. They had a lot of disengage. They had the late game scaling on their side, But it came down to Vex and Lutano in the early game, so aggressive. Although they burnt a lot of summoners early to do so, they were able to bully Otto and Poom completely out of the lane from a very early start. And that just put the Zaya so far behind and really set the tempo for the rest of the game. Because 100 Thieves drafted a weak topside, a scaling mid lane, their goal to play around was this bottom lane. You have the CC from the Taric, you have the damage from the Kaisa. That's where Kenvi wanted to play through. But through the efforts of Vex and Lutano to just completely shut down that lane, 100 Thieves no longer had a lane to play through for the first 20 minutes, and everything on the map belonged to Orgless. Every dragon, every Rift Herald, it all went there.
Yeah, and I think maybe 100 Thieves were thinking that maybe we try to draft some sort of standard comp or something that, has a lot of different uses and utility. But Orgless are coming out and saying, hey, we got a couple of pocket picks. This is what we're comfortable with. This is what we like playing. And King Vex really showing up in this game. If we take a quick look at the damage charts, 21,000 damage. The next closest was
So much.
Irelia at 15,000. King Vex, I don't think he's getting Kaisa next game. Let's just be honest here.
Most
Um,
likely not. But yeah, that also was just like maybe even less the power of the champion. I think Vex and Lutano just played phenomenally that game. That early game aggression, towing that line between using all of their summoner spells and then surviving the gank afterwards was really incredible. So I'm excited to watch some more out of them. I think that Orgless should continue putting some of their draft resources towards this bottom lane and getting them good matchups. Don't put them back on the Vars against duty. Get them on something aggressive. Get something on where Lutano can find engages, most importantly, and that Vex can do some damage.
Yeah, well, you have the reigning champs right here in front of you. Can 100 Thieves dethrone them? We'll be right back with game number 3. Hopefully you get yourself a drink, something to eat, but don't you go anywhere. We've got more action coming your way in just a minute.
When feels like calm and wind stands still, run home, run home. As the crows make night of the fading sun, hide now, hide now. The cheeks do bow as if they weep.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back, and we have a series on our hands. 1-1 apiece. Orgless taking in that last game. 100 Thieves obviously won the first game, but now 100 Thieves back on the blue side and Orgless on the red side. Audio, what are we gonna do with this game?
Poof, I don't know. This has been such an interesting series so far. It was so, game one, very back and forth, but in the end, right around the mid game, it seemed like 100 Thieves just exploded. And I was kind of ready to write the series off, as a lot of people were. 100 Thieves is going to win this 2-0. But game number two, King Vex on that Kaisa just came out and dominated the entire map. So I think the draft is going to be a really big indicator of how this game is going to go. Orgless really want them to keep on this trend of getting themselves lots of engaged. They love to look for these flanks, play the map, and look for these picks. Lutano was a big reason why Vex was able to get so far ahead in game number one, where he was on the Nautilus compared to, game number two on the Nautilus compared to game number one on the Tom Kench.
Well, we are already in pick and ban, ladies and gentlemen. While the bets aren't open yet, but it's seashell season, baby. We'll have to see which team will come out on top in this game, as a couple of bans have already come through. Graves and Yumi on the side of 100 Thieves, still not prioritizing that Kaisa ban. But on the opposing side, we have Senna and Callista taken away from Orgless.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see how this shakes out. As there was a lot of jungle bans, remember, game number one, the Graves has been a staple all series long. It was the Graves, Yumi, and the Rengar. As 100 Thieves have been very willing to pinch City Witty's pool and try to get counter picks for Kenvi. However, Kenvi hasn't had the greatest series so far. Honestly, a bit underperforming to our expectations. I mean, 100 Thieves could just try to really double down, get him an aggressive matchup, and try to play their typical Kenvi just takes over the early game and counter jungles. Or they could pick him with something with a little bit more utility and try to run back that late game team fighting style with a bit more of a front line, something like the Sejuani that City Witty did play in game number one. But first pick, gonna go over to the Ornn. Kind of standard nowadays. Such a strong champion, offers so much to your team. 100 Thieves will be running that back.
Ooh, the Misfortune Hover here early on for Orgless. Not really sure if it's the most insane priority pick, but it will be locked in, as it'll very likely go to that bot side, probably 99% sure. But a very interesting first pick from Orgless. Do you think that that was such a value-added first pick?
It's interesting because Vex just had this amazing game on Kaisa. And Kaisa is up, available, so is the Nautilus. They have the opportunity to go for that power duo, but instead they opt for the Misfortune plus Braum. Braum, a little bit more engaged than the Tom Kench, but I still think this is putting Lutano on a bit more of a defensive playstyle, where he looked so good when he was the one that got to roam around and be the main engage for his team. I think this is a bit of a step backwards, but I mean, after that game number two, Orgless have every right to prove me wrong here. They will give over the Xayah and Rakan.
Holy smokes. What a pick to just take away right off the bat. You have to say that Orgless has to be thinking about something. There's a reason why they first, in the first rotation, they picked Misfortune Braum. What are they cooking up in their draft? in order to make those 2 picks so worthy, and it'll be the Kindred Hover, something that's been banned every single game from Orgless, and they lock it in here in the first rotation.
Yeah, this is going to be the first time Orgless has put draft resources towards City Witty. He's had a pretty good series so far, all things considered. When you look at his game number 2 on Sejuani, he was pretty phenomenal. You know, even game number 1 on the Kazakhs, he didn't have that much of an impact, but still made a couple of good plays. I'm excited to see him on something that's a bit more his bread and butter. Is now it is Orgless pinching 100 Thieves in the jungle position.
Yeah, Lee Sin and Elise taken away. I don't think that that's going to hurt Kenby too much. Olaf and Gragas are still available unless they decide to take one of those off the table here. Irelia taken away, and Mordekaiser being hovered here. Very interesting last ban. What do you think about that?
That definitely is interesting. I don't know if maybe in solo queue Lawrence wasn't playing that one. It also is a flex into the mid lane. So this is probably just 100 Thieves doing their homework and realizing that there is a pick that they want to, get. But it is going to be the Silas locked in. Really good champion against the Ornn. Rakan as well, but just getting access to those big ultimates, that's going to be the main engage for them now. If they can steal away that Ornn ultimate, that could be the tool that really pulls the Orgless composition together.
Yeah, we'll have to see how 100 Thieves answer back, as their next pick will be ticking away. And the Gragas, as we said earlier, one of the 2 junglers available. Gragas can be the one that gets locked in. I think it's a happy medium between Elise and Lee Sin. Still able to do that damage, but also they have an insane amount of engage tools coming out, and it'll be the Renekton and the Ornn. Oh my goodness.
Yes, this will most likely be an Ornn mid then, as they have shown their hand, the Cassiopeia being hovered. And what an aggressive comp from 100 Thieves, picking up that Renekton there. They are very AD heavy, so there's not a lot of armor stacking champions. You're looking at mainly just the Braum. Silas and Cassiopeia can opt to do a bit of armor as well. But this is going to be another heavy skirmish game, lots of damage on either side.
Yeah, now with the Cassiopeia locked in, it'll complete our draft. Very, very different compositions from game 1 to game 2 to game 3. I'm very interested to see how this early game plays out, because it seems to be the story that was told in at least game number 2. Game 1, it took a little bit of time before we really got to see the ball rolling. But really, both teams now, especially 100 Thieves, have the ability in this early game to at least have a little bit more impact than they've had in the past 2 games. Orgless, on the counter side, have a lot of tools in this early game to get rolling as well.
Yeah, this is going to be a super interesting game to watch, because we're going to see a different play style from 100 Thieves, likely, than we've seen all season. All series. And it's going to be the 1-3-1 style. They don't have the greatest team fight set up for themselves. They do have some tools, yes. You have the Rakan and the Ornn, but when you are looking across the way at the enemy composition and you're walking into so many great team fight ultimates, like the Kindred, the Braum, the Cassiopeia, it can be very difficult to win those fights in those close quarters, like how 100 Thieves were able to win a miracle fight in game number 2 due to all their team fighting tools. Orgless have a similar composition. So I would love to see 100 Thieves kind of avoid the team fight if they can, and focus mainly in on the 1-3-1, where Kenby is going to be looking to get tenacity as far ahead as possible, and Ornn is going to be holding a side.
Yeah, and it's going to be the Renekton into that Silas, as well as the Ornn into the Cassiopeia. Very interesting to see how this top and mid lane play out. I mean, bot lane is quite standard. It's the Rocombo into MF and Braum. Braum is obviously going to be keeping that misfortune alive. King Vex, a very crucial player in the victory last game for Orgless. So having a Braum to keep King Vex alive, we'll have to see if they're able to push off the Rocombo. But talk to me a little bit about these win conditions for both these teams, as this is a crucial match. All is on the line here for both these teams. Final game, the winner moves on in the loser's bracket, and the loser goes home empty-handed. What do 100 Thieves need to do in this game in order to win?
There's so much on the line for this game number 3. For 100 Thieves, the most obvious win condition is going to be playing through that top lane. If you can get Kendi to get tenacity, some early kills, even some early CS, that is going to be where a lot of their pressure comes throughout the mid and late game. Is a Renekton drawing members to the side lane so they can make plays on the rest of the map. However, there is still that little hope of the late game composition whenever you have Ornn as well as a late game carry on your team. So past 35-40 minutes, you will have a very strong auto once again on this Xayah. We've seen plays that he does make. He's very proficient on this champion, but you're going into such a great late game comp on the other side. And we'll talk a bit about Orgless now. Their goal is definitely play through bot early, but secondary, play for the late game. You have a Kindred who is going to infinitely scale, and you have got such a great team fight put together for yourself. So the longer that Orgless can actually extend this game, the better chances they're going to have, as long as they pay attention to their macro and force 100 Thieves into these team fights.
So Kindred is something that we don't see too much of at the highest level of play. Maybe in solo queue, it's definitely a champion that favors that type of style. If you're able to be greedy for yourself and gather resources for yourself, Kindred can be the champion for you. But at the highest level of professional play, Kindred is definitely something that we don't see too much. We like to see junglers with kits that have multiple uses, whether it's engage, whether it's damage. Gragas definitely provides that. So does Elise, so does Olaf, so does Lee Sin. What is the Kindred going to do in this game that is really going to set that pick apart and win the game for Orgless?
So the big one is going to be the team fights. Having that AoE, nobody can die, is very powerful, especially with the dive buddy composition that 100 Thieves kind of have put together for themselves. If they do go too far into this comp and Kindred just throws down that, all those engage tools are kind of wasted. But beyond that, we're going to be looking at these kind of 2v2 skirmishes around the jungle. Kindred is actually very high damage jungler, very mobile too, and she does very well at counter jungling, especially to get her marks. So I expect Kenvi to probably just buddy up with Renekton, and the Gragas Renekton versus Kindred Sylas probably goes the 100 Thieves way. But if you can get into a position where you do win the 2v2, then I would love for City Witty to go full on the aggression. Take a page out of Kenvi's notebook and just bully the Gragas out of his jungle, rack up those marks, and really go into the mid game with a stacked Kindred.
Yeah, we'll have to see as our summoners load up onto the rift. For those of you that may be just joining us, you missed a very crucial detail earlier on in the day. We've got a surprise with you for what's coming to the summer season in Upsurge. You guessed it, it's Rocket League. Okay, you may have not have guessed it, but Rocket League coming to the summer season. We got Premier League for 2v2 and we got Premier League for 3v3 with 16 teams a pop available to join. For more information, head over to bit.ly/2020SummerRL. And those applications will be open up until May the 8th. But without further ado, we'll throw to a quick little break as their summoners load up onto the rift. We'll see you in just a few.
When fields like calm and wind stand still, run home, run home. As the crows make night of the fading sun, hide now, hide now. The trees do bow as if they weep. Stay down, stay down.
gentlemen, welcome back as we head into the last and final match of the day. Orgless and 100 Thieves, 1-1 apiece. If you want Orgless to win, now is the time to show your support in the chat. But if you're a big 100 Thieves fan, now is also the time for you to show your support for them as well, as we see a little bit of a cheeky invade to start things off.
Yeah, 5-stack from Orgless. They know they have the Braum, and that almost certainly guarantees them a level 1 victory. That passive, so strong. There's no other abilities to get away from it. And you can see, yeah, they're just getting so aggressive walking up here. They know that if anybody tries to stop them, they are going to die. As you can see, Poom just trying to get that ward there. Takes a couple of auto attacks to the face because of it. And this time, 100 Thieves not even opting to go up and play some counter vision. So information-wise, this is going to be Orgless coming out ahead.
Yeah, and something that we've seen for, really consistent for the past 2 games is vision from Orgless. Getting that vision early on will give them the information that they need to allow, especially very important for City Witty, to get those early marks. Get that information early and know where and when you can be and where Gragas will be earlier on. So starts to opt in for that blue buff start for both junglers, and we'll see how City Witty, as we pay attention in this early game, what his pathing will become.
Yeah, Orgless should know that Grog is starting on the top side. Both lanes tried to fake leash, but they did spot out Rakan on that ward that they placed in their invade and saw him just dancing around the brush. So that should tell them that Kenvi is starting on the top side, and it'll be confirmed as soon as he walks over this ward on ramp.
Yeah, and as a result, City Witty making his way over to that bot side, but
Ooh.
Poom really, really smart coming over and giving a little bit of a soft leash as Latano decides to potentially walk on over as well. We might see a little bit of a fight here for that red buff, as Poom is now fighting with City Witty, Cassiopeia in the mid lane, Young trying to get that early high priority in the mid lane, but a huge stun, and that's going to be the level 2 as well as the red buff that goes over to Gragas as they continue to chase. Flashes all the way across the board. A 4-man stack in this red buff on this bot side, but Gragas walks away with the red buff, and a little bit of a kind of back and forth allows him to still continue jungling.
Really smart there by 100 Thieves, recognizing that City Witty was going to go so aggressive, and with that early vision, probably try to steal away the red buff. Poom actually just left the lane, level 1. And he said, you know what? I think City's going to come through here. I'm going to go help my jungler take the red buff so it doesn't get stolen away. And so a level 1 Rakan was actually the difference that allowed Kenvi to even be in a position where he could 50-50 smite. Does win the smite, and that means that he won't be put severely far behind here in this matchup.
Yeah, and as a Kindred, you definitely have to feel a little bit bad about that. You're losing precious time. Every invade that you try to go for, obviously huge support comes out from the team, but every time you try to go through and you try to poke your head through into the enemy jungle and it doesn't go your way, that is precious time that you're giving over to Kenvi, as he was able to pretty much clear his full jungle. Well, not almost, but mostly clear the bot side, which is what Kindred wanted.
Yeah, there still are a lot of camps for both junglers to take. You can see Kenvi actually trying to go up and spot where City is right now. He was also able to get the top side scuttle, which is very important. Now, he has found the Kindred, and he might wish he hadn't.
Yeah, has to flash the Krug to stay alive, but first blood going over to City Witty as Kenvi tries to get a little fancy with it with a little bit of an invade of his own, but ends up coming up short. Unfortunate there for Kenvi, but strong start here for Orgless once again.
And that was due to some intelligent warding once again by Orgless. If you look over at the red buff on the top side of the map, you can see a ward that is checking like around the back side of the pit where an invader might be coming through. Typically, those wards are usually placed in the front side of the red buff, but that was able to spot Kenvi walking in to try to steal away some camps, which gave Lawrence the heads up that he needed to join that fight first, make it a 2v1, and get first blood on the City with.
As we take a quick look in that top side, Tenacity still duking it out here with Lawrence, but Lawrence able to keep up. Seems like a matchup that might favor Renekton in the early game. But Silas able to kind of stay strong, and I wonder if maybe if Tenacity opted in for that corrupting potion early, he would have ended up with a kill or something, maybe something aggressive, but opted in for that Dorn's Blade and still going back and forth with Lawrence.
Yeah, probably just wanting to keep up on the long, or the extended sustain that he will have. You can see just pressing that W heals all that up. So Tenacity wanting to make sure he can keep up in the lifesteal, going for that Doran's Blade. But now it's the dragon both teams want.
Yeah, Kenvi has to use the body slam to get on out. First Dragon going over to Orgless. That's 2 games in a row they get that first Drake. Flash actually coming out from Young as the combo here from Copy trying to knock him up against the wall there. And now with the flashless mid laner, maybe Kenvi can try to create an opportunity to come to that mid lane as he is hovering around, but Young quite smart, hugging his turret.
Yes, he is. I was actually really close to that Baron getting stolen by Otto, so good job on City to get the smite.
Ooh, as we see the engage here, Predator Boots coming out, a double man knockup with the flashless Cassiopeia. They're trying to finish the job, but they can't get it done as Young gets the kill onto Copy, and now Orgless feeling good in this early game.
He's gonna look for more. He has level 6. Already used the ultimate, but that was just going a little bit too aggressive there in the mid lane. They didn't have the damage to finish it off.
Oh my goodness, what is happening in this ball lane? TP comes in from Copy. He's looking for round number 2. Otto finds the first kill, putting 100 Thieves on the board as we transition to a fight in this top side. Laurent's in a little bit of trouble, uses the ultimate up against Renekton. And with the re-engage, he's looking for the kill, but Tenacity comes out on top.
It is just an all-out brawl here on Summoner's Rift for these two teams. The final game of the series, potentially the final game of the season. Whoever comes out on the bottom of this one, and kind of going back to that mid lane play, not enough damage between the Ornn and the Gragas actually take out that Cassiopeia. And then fast forward to the bottom lane, you saw Lutano go forward very aggressively, tried to get the flash Q down onto somebody, but he missed. He flashed too far, and the Q didn't hit, so he wasn't able to get those stacks of concussive blows stacked up fast enough to actually secure the kill. Then, you look at the top side, and now Tenacity, he's got a solo kill, and he's up 20 CS on this Renekton. First item Executioner's calling to make sure that healing isn't going to turn around any 1v1s, and 100 Thieves are looking a lot better than they did in game number 2. They have some serious advantages.
Yeah, once that Blade of the Ruined King comes in, that matchup is going to be very rough for Silas, considering the movement speed that is going to be in favor of Renekton. But we see an invade here. Citywitty looking for Kenvi, but Kenvi already cleared all the camps. I'm not actually sure if Kindred was able to walk away with that blue buff, and it looks like they have blue buff apiece, so not able to steal that away. But now the Rift Herald going to be easily secured by Citywitty.
Yeah, Orgless have actually done so much work to try to steal away camps from Kenvi, but 100 Thieves have tracked him very well. And it's, both Kenvi and Poom has done a lot too. Just keeping an eye on where that Kindred is and always making sure that they can stay one step ahead.
Ooh, but here comes the engage. Ornhorn going to be used on the side of Silas, and it's going to be turned back around onto this front line that is of Orgless. But here comes Tenacity. Absolute decimation comes out onto Citywitty. They continue the chase onto Lawrence. He's fighting for dear life, but he's flashless as they continue their chase. Hops back over the river. He's able to stay alive, but a 1-for-1 exchange here in the mid lane goes over to 100 Thieves and Orgless.
Yeah, I thought that was going to be a lot worse there for Orgless as they push into that jungle, try to use the stolen Ornn ultimate, and they are able to, just pop Kenvi. But then it's Tenacity showing up and so strong in this Renekton is able to do the same exact thing to Citywitty, who did not have level 6 for that engage, so wasn't able to prevent the amount of burst that Renekton has to come through. And it is just going to end up being the 1-for-1 trade. I do think that favors 100 Thieves for now, but we'll see what they're able to do for it. Now, Tenacity under fire.
Yeah, and he's in a little bit of trouble. Citywitty has joined the fray. Lawrence looking for a little bit more. Tenacity still doesn't have his ultimate, doesn't have flash. He is just a sad crocodile in the alcove as City shuts him down. And I don't really know if City prepared that with a mark, but another kill to his name still has to feel pretty good.
Yeah, taking a look at him right now, he is sitting on 2 marks. I don't believe he did mark that champion, but not exactly what you want to be seeing from a Kindred at this stage in the game. Still, though, he's able to pick up the kill, so a 2-1 Kindred looks very good for Orgless. Honestly, just think Tenacity was a bit greedy sticking around for those plates, not having the ultimate or the summoner spells available. But he's going to teleport back to lane, pick up most of that farm. And now Clouddrake on the Rift is going to be the next objective for these teams, with the teleport advantage coming up soon for Lawrence, about 30 to 45 seconds. This could be an objective they might want to push for. They're actually going towards it right now.
Well, okay, so we've had Mountain Drake, we've had Cloud Drake. I swear, if it's another Ocean, I am going to flip my table. I need an Infernal.
Or is it FlyQuest?
Yeah, I need Infernal. I need some damage. I need something on the board, and it's going to be the Infernal Soul. Finally, some action. All supports rejoice as warding now becomes easier across the board. But still, 100 Thieves, no dragon to their name. They will need to start stacking those up and potentially need to stop this Dragon Soul threat that Orgless is starting to build up.
Asking he shall receive. Infernal Soul hits the Rift. And this is going to be great for either side. Huge win condition that both these teams are going to want to play towards. If you can get on 100 Thieves side 4 Infernal Dragons stacked up, because that's what it's going to take for them to get to the Soul, then that late game talk that we had earlier where, oh, well, there's some more late game carries on the side of Orgless. No, all that goes out the window when you get 4 Infernal Dragons. So this could be what 100 Thieves need to put the final nail in the coffin of this series. They have to be so focused on these dragons. If you give this one over, I think that's the end of the season.
Yeah, Kenvi now waiting in the wings of the alcove. Young looking to try to clear some of that vision through, and they have an absolute fortress of control wards established in this riverboat. Rift Herald going to be used by Kenvi in the bot side. They have a couple of plates to their name already, and they look to try to secure a couple more as this Rift Herald's looking to knock his head right into the turret, and that's going to be Kindred using the ultimate to try to stay alive. And with the turret falling, that's going to be Silas. He TP's in. Feathers fly from Xayah, and they're looking to still try to continue the fight, and they're able to get away as now Ornn is looking to rotate down to that bot side and try to engage into this fight, but Silas trying to poke his head through just a little bit, but 100 Thieves get the turret and escape.
Double teleport coming in from Orgless, but still 100 Thieves get the turret and get out clean. Meanwhile, Tenacity farming away minions and monsters alike in the top side. Gonna be crashing that wave in a turret. That was a huge win for 100 Thieves, even though nobody died.
Yeah, now we see Kenvi here again in that bot side, looking to potentially re-engage onto this bot lane, but has to back away as his body slam doesn't really have such a long reach, and we see Poom trying to get a little bit of engage going. Gragas ends up sticking around. The Feathers will end up rooting Braum, but he just hops right away. But the Ornn Horn will connect onto nobody as it completely whips the goalpost set up there by Orgless, and he just sends it right through. But they're still looking to try to push for more kills, but end up with just one and back away.
100 Thieves are starting to clap back. Vex and Lutano are fairly far up without the protection of their tier 1 turret, and the fact that City Witty had gone back to base, and you can see Copy there just roaming over, using that long-range engage to make sure that they go down. And that's going to be more gold into the pocket of 100 Thieves, as now they look to go into this mid-game with a 3,000 gold lead. The closest we've really seen the early game so far this series. And they are in a fairly decent position. Don't forget, though, very great team fight comp on the side of Orgless. Once these dragons and heralds start popping up and we get to the point where 100 Thieves have to answer to them, we might see a bit of a swing back towards Orgless. I would really start to want to see 100 Thieves committing a bit more to the side lanes now. put Otto and Poom in the mid lane and just have Copy and Tenacity in the side lanes, creating as much pressure as he can.
Yeah, well, we're getting a little bit of an update from our producer saying that Copy looks like he'll be the next kicker for the Bears. So we'll have to see if that revelation does come true for the side of 100 Thieves. But right now he's playing mid lane on the Ornn. We'll see if they're able to transition some of this advantage that they've had in this ball lane, getting that turret down. Will they be able to start to push this lead out that they've slowly ballooned for themselves? And this first dragon is what they definitely want coming up in the next 30 seconds. They're setting the waves up for priority. And with TP almost available for Tenacity, but the engage here coming out from Lawrence, Tenacity has to pop the ultimate as now City Witty's looking to fight, but the engage here from Tenacity flashes right onto Kindred, but the ult gonna keep them both alive, and he's just looking to get back into the fight, but he slices and dices the credit card combo, gonna get him out. And now with so many resources burned in the top side, they look to try to get this dragon for 100 Thieves.
So crucial that Tenacity was able to get out of there alive. The burst able to go back in and force the ultimate out of the Kindred. Oh, it's the dangerous recall.
Yeah, and City Witty low on mana, not going to be able to hop away.
The Moby Boots.
For an engage, but he's going to be able to slowly hop, skip, jump his way out of there. But the engage here in the bot lane as they look to fight. Huge ultimate goes on to King Vex, but it's not enough damage as now Ornn gets singled out. He's just trying to get away, and
Tenacity
Otto as well able to get away. But Tenacity in the top side gets 2v1'd. And what looked to be good for Orgless seems to start to be falling apart for 100 Thieves.
I'm not sure what Tenacity was doing up there. We got another fight, though.
Yeah,
Or
they're
not.
still they're poking through, but really just back and forth.
Okay, I want to go back to my point then, because Tenacity is such a big, important carry for 100 Thieves right now. He has been able to create a lot of pressure up in the top side, and that's what initially made this such a good play. Drawing the Kindred up there, and then Tenacity surviving, allowed 100 Thieves to go in and secure that dragon. And when Tenacity pushed up to try to find that kill onto City Witty as he was recalling, that looks great because you have the Rakan with you. Once Poom leaves, though, I don't know what he is doing sticking around in the top side for that long, trying to crash the wave that far into the lane. He ends up dying pretty much needlessly, where he could have backed, healed up, and then had the teleport available to help out his team after the dragon. But 100 Thieves do thankfully pick up the Drake, so that is the kind of shining light at the end of the tunnel. They are now 3 dragons away from getting the 4-stack Infernal Soul. And they have brought Poom up here to try to contest around this Rift Herald. You can see already setting up the vision. They're going to start this one up.
Yeah, compared to game number 2, Orgless was definitely in the driver's seat, but now it looks like they're both sharing that seat together as they're going blow for blow, 4 to 6, 18 minutes in, and that gold lead has now inched its way back closer, 31,000 to 29,700. It's really close. Really, either team has the ability to turn this game around. We'll just have to see who is able to have the better macro play. And it's going to start things off with the Rift Herald in the pocket of 100 Thieves.
Yeah, I also want to bring attention to Young, who has been slowly but surely becoming a complete raid boss in this game. 40 CS up, 2-0, has a finished Seraphs, and sitting on 2,000 gold. So he could definitely go back and finish his next item. It's a very strong Cassiopeia that come these mid-game team fights, when they do start happening, is going to be a huge force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, Predator boots popped as Kennedy looks to click and off. He's on to run, but not really going to engage with anything as they were looking to just secure that mid lane tier 1, but not able to finish the job as Otto is still holding that mid lane, trying to push in as much as he can. But now they're trying to deny vision in this bottom side jungle for Orgless, but they just back away, have to reset, and really no objective to take unless this Baron is going to be a really hard set for both these teams as it is about to spawn in the next 10 seconds.
Yeah, I actually give the game state advantage over to Orgless right now. The past 20 minutes, they have been able to keep the gold very close to 100 Thieves, and In the side lanes as well, they are matching up quite well. So you do have a 2-kill Renekton, but Sylas as well, although he's 50 CS down, he has 2 kills. He just finished the Zanyas, so he should be able to hold his own against Renekton. And Cassiopeia is ridiculously stronger than the Ornn at this point. So the 1-3-1 composition that was kind of built for 100 Thieves can't really be pulled off effectively right now because their side lanes aren't ahead.
Yeah, we'll have to see what ends up happening as now, like we said, the side lanes, Tenacity was in a driver's seat position where he did have that control, but now he doesn't really have as much control. Sylas is able to keep up toe-to-toe. Yes, there's a big 50 CS discrepancy with Tenacity having such a balloon gold lead over Sylas, but if you take a quick look in that top side, they're really just going back and forth, and Sylas is able to maintain those waves.
Yeah, I'm looking towards these mid-game team fights. The Young now finishing that Leandry's Torment is going to be big for them. They just want to finish this IE likely on the Misfortune. Then Orgless is going to be ready to go online for all intents and purposes with their composition. Infernal Dragon, like you said, spawning just shortly here. Both teams posturing pretty aggressively around it. 100 Thieves have the control over the river currently. For the top side, both laners have TP, and it looks like Orgless is going to give this one up. They don't think that there's a lot of value in giving over these 2 dragons. They would rather just take it slow, farm up, and really force for the 3rd and 4th dragon.
Yeah, and one thing that I do want to point out, especially with that mid back and forth, looks like they're having a tap dance show off as they're just going left quick, like back and forth so quickly. They have so much respect for each other, and you could really see that in this 3rd game. Yes, 100 Thieves was able to win that 1st game through really good team fight strategy. 2nd game, Orgless just had an absolute dream of an early game and were able to take that lead and run away with it. But now, with this game number 3 that we have, both teams are respecting each other so much, and I honestly think that they both want it so bad at the end of the day to continue in this lower bracket.
Copy, not realizing he knocked up Young there.
Yeah, Young actually going to continue the chase. Fang after Fang, he's looking for that damage, but they finally end up securing that mid lane turret, and he will be able to just walk away. I mean, still quite scathed, but nevertheless able to escape the fangs of Young.
Yeah, that's an Ornn with an upgraded Abyssal Mask for you. Ridiculously hard to take down.
Yeah, and actually Young has the flash available, but they're going to try to layer that CC. Rakan not able to hop in there with the grand entrance and knock up Young, but still the flash will be burned.
Good job burning that summoner spell out of the Cassiopeia. Just cost the Ornn ultimate, which is much lower cooldown than the 5-minute flash. Now Tenacity under fire once again. Orgless' plan all game has just been trying to attack this top lane. And 100 Thieves want to try to get control around this Baron, but Lutano and City are not going to let them have it. You can see Young right back to that side lane, picking up farm. The longer they let this Cassiopeia go unanswered, the harder it is going to be for 100 Thieves. These are actually going to be some really crucial fights coming up. Whoever wins the next team fight is going to have such a huge leg up, and look at the carries right now. You have IE Essence finish on the Xayah.
Oh, copy right in Medusa's gaze as he gets stunned up to the nines. Can't even escape. And that's going to be Young securing that kill, funneling that gold over to the main carry. Oh my goodness, that has to be a red alarm for 100 Thieves.
Doesn't matter how many ornaments you've got, leave Cassiopeia with enough time and she will whittle you down. That's going to be a kill, more farm, possibly even a turret going over to Young now.
And that's going to be Auto Rakan there to keep his ADC alive. Has to engage his way back to the back line, and they're going to actually be able to do quite a bit of damage, but here comes Sylas to join the fray. Tenacity going to be there for the flank, but it decides to just back away, and pings do go out for this Baron as Orgless have to back away, recall, regenerate their health bars, and 100 Thieves gain control of the jungle.
able to get out. Oh no!
Oh no, boom! Barely makes it out alive, but the
It's poison!
poison takes away poison for MVP, and Cassiopeia 4 kills up already.
Oh, it looks so good. You were right. Pulling the teleport out of Young meant that 100 Thieves now had control over the Baron pit because they eliminated the the pressure in the side lane. But Poom walking forward and getting taken out completely gives control back over to Orgless.
Yeah, we still have a fight breaking out. Citywitty looking to do some damage. He's trying to get that kill onto Otto, but now the front line's trying to keep him alive. Another dish out here from Lawrence with damage, but the ultimate not going to connect, as he did take Kenby's ultimate for that. And now they push 100 Thieves out of their jungle and start to set up their own vision in the 100 Thieves jungle.
Neither of these teams want to pull the trigger here in game number 3. They know that this game and their season rides on a knife edge and possibly one single team fight. The next dragon spawning here, though, in 40 seconds. This is probably going to be the objective that pulls the teams in and actually forces the fight.
Yeah, Poom getting singled out here by Latano, and Latano this series has actually played quite phenomenally. He's always there, engaging at the right moment, and having his team support, no doubt. Copy here in a little bit of trouble, has to back away. He's quite tanky, using Call of the Forge God to try to stay alive, knocks up the Kindred, and he's still surviving somehow. Another Call of the Forge God coming out from Lawrence. He knocks up 2, and they go deep into the fight. Lawrence now being that front line. Bullet time connects as Kenby now in a little bit of trouble, and Young takes that kill, but it's traded away as Tenacity somehow in this fray finds the jungler, and now there is both junglers down, which means Smite a Smite fight cannot break out, and they wait in a Fnatic death brush right near the dragon.
Are they gonna get it? None of these teams are giving each other an inch. They're able to pick off the jungler, but both junglers dead. This is gonna be, who's gonna get this? Okay,
yeah.
It is gonna be Orgless. This is really good, putting them on soul point, teleport back from Lawrence. They may just want to try to rush straight for the Baron? I'm a little confused at what the teleport was doing. Just looking for a couple of stragglers after the play was crucial for Tenacity to pick up the jungler there in that fight to make it a 1-for-1 trade. But unfortunately, because because Orgless just had complete control around the river, they were able to fall back and burst down that dragon with the Cassiopeia before 100 Thieves had a chance to move in and try to go first.
Now the next target obviously going to be this Baron, and 100 Thieves trying to set up submission, but they meet right into the face of Orgless, and they can't really handle that type of damage. They can't really handle that type of aggression. It's looking a little rough right now as Kindred now pushing through. Citywitty trying to get as many marks as possible in their jungle, and they have complete control now. What looked like to be an even game just 5 minutes ago now is looking to start to be in the favor of Orgless, but maybe one team fight for either side could really turn this around.
Yeah, I still think we're in a situation, because the last team fight was just a 1-for-1 trade, we haven't had that, breakout team fight that's going to kind of decide the pace of the game, for the next 20 minutes. That's probably now going to be pushed back to either Baron or the Infernal Soul. Soul point here for Orgless. 100 Thieves have to contest these next dragons with everything they have, but they have 3 minutes until then, and they feel that with the small goalie they have right now, they want to try to force down this Baron.
Yeah, Silas has to rotate his way over. Young now going to be as well. Rotating with the team. Poom going to be the first front line. He's going to need to engage to at least try to dissuade him. They pull off the dragon. Tenacity's waiting in the wings. Huge petrifying gaze finds 2, and Poom re-engages, but Kindred keeps her team alive. And now Poom as well staying alive, and Tenacity, he gets popped. They're looking for another. Copy almost falls, and they are just taking them down limb from limb, and they secure the Baron pit and what soon is to be their Baron.
And that is it. That is the team fight that both of these teams were waiting for. This game is now firmly in the control of Orgless, and it came down to those big team fight ultimates we talked about in the draft phase. If 100 Thieves were not able to pull off this 1-3-1 style of play, they were going to struggle when it came to these clutch 5v5s around these objectives, and that is what I was talking about. The Kindred ultimate coming in huge from City Witty. We thought that Otto was just going to have a field day as he was able to root up multiple members, but that Kindred ultimate bought him the time, forced Otto to have to retreat, and from there on, it was all Orgless. And let's not even, like, we got to mention that Cassiopeia ultimate. We're going to be looking at a replay here as you can see side of the map on the right. But Young, recognizing that he has the opportunity, flashing forward to get the jungler, and then Otto seemed like he was going to turn it around, but that Kindred ultimate in the top of the screen bought so much time. Otto wasn't able to get into it, and so he had no other choice but to back off from the fight. And with that DPS source gone, Orgless were able to just completely run over the rest of the fight, pick up the Baron, and now with a 4,000 gold lead, they're looking to take control of this game.
Yeah, and City Witty going to be at the helm of that push. Lamb's Respite, very much so coming in clutch in that last fight, but now they still need to close the deal. The ball is in their court, but they need to take it to the hoop, and they're doing so with this Baron buff. As now they fall back, and with this Infernal Dragon spawning within the next 50 seconds, 100 Thieves need to contest to stay alive in this game.
How do you fight for the Infernal Dragon, though, against such a strong composition? Young currently sitting just a little ways away from his death cap. A 6-0-2 for Adam Cassiopeia.
Ooh, but here's going to be an engaged Lamb's Respite used once again. It's keeping both teams alive as now Kindred looks to try to get out of the fray. Otto on the front line there as Silas off to the side using Call of the Forge God as well. It does land onto Otto, crucial member, but feathers fly and Petrifying Gaze takes him down. Now a 4v5. 100 Thieves running behind, cowering behind their legs back to the base, and Orgless looks so demanding and aggressive as they push down this inhibitor.
And that's going to be the inhibitor and the soul. City Witty is sitting over there, souling that one down right now. Orgless are completely unstoppable as they push in. And you can see 100 Thieves, they try to make the play, but it is just too little too late. The Kindred ultimate buying so much time. Just the difference between allowing Young to teleport in for the fight, or compared to City Witty getting blown up before he can join, was the difference maker. And you can see now why this champion has been banned away 2 games in a row. The third one is where it was let through, and I think 100 Thieves are kicking themselves for that right now.
Yeah, and Infernal is going to be the one that is the most detrimental up against this team as they try to fight one more time in this bot lane, but they might be biting off too much that they can't all chew at once. Silas going to get rooted here, and they're going to continue the chase. It's a desperate play at that as they re-engage, pushed out of Lamb's Respite, but that will be the Zhonya's that keep him alive. Rakan knocks up 2. Call of the Forge God coming through as well, but it's blocked by Braum. Oh my goodness! And Young finds Rakan as 100 Thieves retreat.
Great Gragas ultimate to knock members out of the cask, but with the soul, it is just too much to overcome. Orgless are on a march to the Nexus. They have one goal in mind, and they are not going to let anything, not even 100 Thieves, stand in the way of defending their title. 2 inhibitors down now. They will probably have to reset. A lot of ultimates still on cooldown, and they are sitting with some serious gold in their pocket. Over 2k on 3 different members. And I expect them to spend their spoils of war, and probably look to make one final push to end the game.
You talk about Orgless, you talk about this roster swap that has happened throughout the season. You get a top laner in, you get a top laner out, you get a jungler in, you get a jungler out, and they're proving that team synergy still can remain the same and that they can continue to play consistently as a team. And with 100 Thieves, no doubt when they came into this season, they obviously went on a tear, undefeated in the regular season. But now Orgless is proving that Giants still do bleed.
They absolutely do. And the one thrusting the dagger in is Young on this Cassiopeia. He's almost full build. We are 35 minutes into the game. Most Ares still sitting on 2 items aside of 100 Thieves. This Cassiopeia almost fully stacked. And it looks like Orgless, they're going to wait to push in the base. They want to set up around this Baron as Vex takes the remaining standing gold that is the top lane turrets. And for 100 Thieves, you're praying for a miracle.
Yeah, and there's just an absolute onslaught of goats running rampant, but they finally engage. Shutdown goes out onto Lawrence as they look to try to clean this one up. Lamb's Respite used a little too early. Tenacity, he's deep in the fray, but that's going to be the pocket watch that's popped. Copy tries to knock up the back line, but they re-engage. Still looking for more, but fly feathers fly as they are looking to try to continue the fight. But Cassiopeia is taken down, but King Vex on an absolute rampage takes out the back line, takes out the front line, and he's looking for more. Trays with auto, triple kill coming through, and they are gonna close this one out in style.
And when Young falls, Vex stands up to the plate, a quadra kill to end it all. This will be the win for Orgless, unless Tenacity can make the hero play. But no, it looks like it's all over.
The Nexus will blow. 100 Thieves will go back, rethink, go back to the drawing board for the summer season. But Orgless will continue in the bracket run as they go through what looked to be the odds stacked against them. Everything was stacked against them. Losing game 1 with 100 Thieves, absolutely taking them apart team fight by team fight. But now Orgless coming out on top. What a beautiful performance from them.
And they only seem to ramp up throughout this series, which is probably the most impressive part to me. Not only like going into the series, we looked at game 1 and we said, wow, Orgless were able to almost beat 100 Thieves in a game. That seems like a success for them. But then it just never stopped. They kept getting more aggressive. Their plays kept working out even better for themselves. And coming to this game 3, I mean, it looked like a complete stomp. This did not look like the undefeated regular season team that was favored to win it all. This looked like, Orgless was carrying that reputation with them. And I want to give a huge shout out to not only Young, who put in incredible work in that game 3, but also City Witty. In the first 2 games, it might not have looked like it. He didn't exactly be the main carry, but he had a lot of jungle bans thrown at him. And a big part of 100 Thieves' game plan for the whole season was playing through Kemby, getting him an aggressive pick and allowing him to really take over the jungle for the first 15, 20 minutes of the game. That did not happen at all this series. Kemby definitely feel like he underperformed throughout this series and allowed a lot more freedom for Orgless to move around the map and create plays where, normally if Kemby had been playing to the standard we normally set him to, that may not have been possible.
Yeah, as we take a quick look at the damage charts, I think somebody in chat put your thoughts into one quick sentence quite amazingly. If only every team had a City Witty. I can't agree more. He definitely stepped up to the plate this game, especially considering Orgless has had jungler in, jungler out. He performed second most damage on his team, 23,000, just a little bit ahead of Young in that 22,000 on Cassiopeia. What a beautiful performance from Orgless once again.
Yeah, and hey, I think we have our answer to our question at the beginning of the series. Were these roster swaps a desperation move, or did Orgless see something in these players and say, we have to have that? There you go. They just took down 100 Thieves. I mean, the roster move's definitely a success, pulling them out in the postseason. And I mean, this is a team that now, if they remain on this form, might just take the spot as the favorites to win it all. I mean, they will still have to go through 2 more games, I believe, to get, one series before they get to First Blood Crusade, who's waiting for them there at the finals. But definitely keep your eye on Orgless because I mean this might be a caster curse, but they are looking good.
Yeah, and we'll have to see how their journey continues. But unfortunately, we have to wrap up the fun time that we've had. It will be Orgless up against Issue is Critical coming up next week. However, of course, like I said, it is going to be the time that runs out for us as we've had a phenomenal time casting these two teams. Hopefully, you've had a fun time at home watching. I want to thank Trevor, Caster Audio, Goodrich for joining me. What a phenomenal performance that you put on today, as well as Hyper in the back lines, putting on those replays, putting on the additional supplementary sources for our broadcast today. And of course, thanks to Upsurge for putting this all together, putting these two teams head to head, and we got to see such an amazing game at that.
Yeah, and make sure to follow the stream, follow Upsurge on socials because the finals of the losers bracket is going to be coming up. That is going to be Orgless versus Issue is Critical, the winner of which goes on to face First Blood Crusade in the grand finals. Going to be two incredibly fun series to watch. So make sure you tune in for that.
Well, thank you everyone for joining us. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your night. I'm sure one of you will get a Valorant key at some point if you just keep your fingers crossed. But we'll see you guys next time on the Upsurge cast. Hope you have a good one.